the weakest talent. Have you heard of Senju? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201. What is our purpose? Exclamation mark. Black, do something. Bei Junjian saw that Ye Chen's hands were shaking and quickly held Ye Chen's little hand. Ye Chen, oh no, Ye Chen, thank you for your hard work. Ye Chen was numb, and the hardest way to walk in his life was the routine of Juggernaut Point. The deepest pit to jump is the pit dug by the swordsman. He even buried it himself. Ye Chen turned around and adjusted his mentality point, looking at the 8 sacred beasts in front of him. He was still a little clueless. Juggernaut, why don't you discuss it? I'll hit the big one and leave the rest to you. How can this be done, manly man? It's a matter of words. Since I said the strongest, let me come, then I can't trouble you. Only question marks remained in Ye Chen's mind. Point, is this appropriate? This is not appropriate. No, I think I'm a young man, and my responsibility is to carry the banner, and the strongest one is handed over to me. Ye Chen defended. No, need to say it again. Who will go to hell if I don't go to hell? Bei Junjian stopped Ye Chen and said righteously. Point, the appearance of not being afraid of life and death made Ye Chen almost believe it. Have you had enough of your last words? The Titan Mad Bull had been watching them for a while. Point, what I thought in my heart was that they were going to die anyway, so it would be fine to let them say a few more last words. After Bei Junjian heard that one, Mienyu Tao opened his mouth. He stepped out abruptly. You are the leader. The sword fingers are horizontally in front of him, and the gentleman's sword is cold and light. Point, the Titan Mad Bull looked at the man in front of him and couldn't help laughing. I just heard from you. You want to duel me. Why not? Bei Junjian pointed out, and Junzijian also pointed the tip of his sword at the other side. Point, the Titan Crazy Bull was amused by Bei Junjian's words and then became interested. How many of you, how many holy realms, can this be looked down upon? So that kid is handed over to you. No problem, right? The Titan Mad Bull pointed at Ye Chen and said to the 7 alien beasts behind him without turning his head. Brother, NIU, don't worry, it takes a long time for a mere kid to hit a dapping bird. We can hang him with any shot. The colorful Madara chicken sister spoke again, and the sentence was full of meanness. Okay, then I'll leave it to you. Titan Crazy Bull nodded and said to Bei Junjian, a battle in the sky. Yes. Bei Junjian's feet floated up. Point, this guy is 10,000 meters in size, and he doesn't ruin the surrounding environment when he fights. The first battle in the sky was exactly what Bei Junjian wanted. Point, the Titan Crazy Bull heard the words without any hesitation, kicked his feet, and flew towards the sky. Point, the violent impact caused the whole ground to vibrate wildly. Ye Chen felt this huge vibration and frowned slightly. Point, sure enough, if the body is huge, if you jump, it will be easy to earthquake. Fortunately, the Buddha can't jump. If it can jump, boss NIU is gone. So how do you want to die? The remaining 7 sacred beasts began to tease Ye Chen. Hey, man, what you said is wrong. You should say boy. Who do you want to die at? Hahaha, Sister Rabbit is right. Come on, boy, choose one to be your opponent, and then study how to die. Ye Chen faced several alien beasts with a solemn expression. Point, although I was playing with Bei Junjian before. What is it? That one hit 7 is not good, but what is in Ye Chen's mind at the moment? Is it really good to kill them? Or play with them and kill them? This is a serious and difficult question. Boy, are you ready? The Horseface said arrogantly. Point, at this moment, the first loud bang came from the sky. Point, that powerful shock wave instantly rolled up a huge tornado. Ye Chen's hair was messed up, just like this in the first fight. What's going to happen later? Ugh. The 7 sacred beasts only saw the tiny ants in front of them and sighed softly. Point, feet up in the air, hands clasped together. Wood style wood clone. 7 people, right? Then 7 is 49. Don't blame me. You are a holy realm. 1 dozen 7 should not be too much, right? Ye Chen's face was helpless, and he didn't want to do it. But after all, Uchihamada's happiness is not easy to experience. It's not easy to have the opportunity to experience it, so don't miss it. In front of the 7 alien beasts, 49 Ye Chen appeared. Every Ye Chen wears a Raijin Jaka. The 7 alien beasts were all stunned. How come there are so many of these little devils all of a sudden? At first I thought it was fake, but I felt the breath of these 49 clones. Although it was much weaker than his main body, it could prove that these guys are entities. So, brothers, I want to ask, can you bankai? The moment the main body Ye Chen landed, his right foot gently tapped the floor. A huge emerald green throne appeared, and Ye Chen sat directly on it. A wooden dragon hovers behind Ye Chen's throne. This is a movable throne. You'll know if you tried, said one of the clones. Ye Chen, guys, tell them loudly what our purpose is. Black silk, white silk, long legs, snapped. What are you thinking about? Again, our slogan is, make trouble, make trouble, make trouble. X49 The main body Ye Chen sat on the throne and nodded silently. Not bad. I, Ye Chen's army, just want to make trouble. The Naruto army will only crush the population. I'm different. My Ye Chen army can crush the opponent with large AoE skills. For a time, no one of the 7 alien beasts chose to shoot first. Instead, the Void Insect King hiding in the void looked at Ye Chen's series of operations and became interested. Come, Inu. I saw the small hand of the Void Insect King waving, and Ye Chen's body, the huge throne and the wooden dragon were swallowed into the void. Originally, I was using my right hand to rest my chin on my chin, intending to enjoy the picture of playing 7. But when the picture turned around, it was pitch black before my eyes. Ye Chen was stunned for a moment. He was fine. What's the situation? Thinking of this, Ye Chen stretched out a finger, and the flame ignited on his finger. Raijin Jaka non Shike can now use fire. As long as it is Raijin Jaka's fire, Ye Chen can control the use. The moment the flames ignited, Ye Chen frowned. Logically speaking, the flame of Raijin Jaka belongs to the bright series, and the light of the flame should be able to see the surrounding clearly. But now it can only illuminate the range within 1 meter. Thinking of this, the flames on Ye Chen's fingertips surged up instantly. The huge flame was as dazzling as the scorching sun in the darkness. It's a pity I still can't see what's going on around. It's useless in my void. All the rules are made by me. Chapter 200 Into the GENTLEMAN-039, S Sword and the Nameless Sword, BANKAIN-039, S49 Avatars Ye See. Titan Crazy Bull, you're very strong. Beijunjian looks straight at him like a sword fairy. A white robe flutters, his left hand is behind him, and his right hand is clenching a long sword. Little guy, you are not bad. The Titan Crazy Bull was like a god. His eyes were full of fighting intent, and he stared at Beijunjian. As a Titan family, few people confront him head on. Because his flesh is too strong, and the sword cultivator in front of him faces himself. There was no sign of retreating. Fighting head on is the joy of fighting. I appreciate you a little bit, old cow. Haha. As a sword cultivator, I'm not afraid of being as strong as a true god when one sword breaks all laws. Good sword repair. Hahaha. Good one is not afraid. The Titan Bull is screaming in the sky. As the strongest creature on Blue Star, the strongest alien beast, the fleshly body reached the ultimate in the divine realm, and even the demigod Shen Chang Sheng chased and killed him for 3 days and 3 nights, but failed to kill him. And now, a sword repairer has appeared. I haven't been born in 100 years. Such a powerful human has appeared. Interesting. The days when he was chased and killed by Chen Changsheng, although it was close to death time and time again, it was a blessing in disguise. He obtained the strongest secret technique of the Titans. Whenever you are attacked, and the attack is enough to hurt yourself, your physical body will be strengthened by 1 point. And it can be superimposed infinitely, and in the past 100 years, he has already superimposed his fleshly body to the point that even the Void Insect King pulls him into the void and uses the strongest tricks to cause damage to himself. Of course, he still can't beat the Void Insect King. After all, this guy's ability is too strange. Although he can't kill himself, he can exile himself in the void. I can see that your fight with me makes you excited. Bei Junjian was shaking all over this world, is so disgusting that the sword I hold is a little hard to grasp, especially the evil Flood King who was always attacking him, and now, finally someone is willing to fight him head on. The Titan Crazy Bull also noticed the strangeness of the tiny Bei Junjian. Unfortunately, I'm also very excited. Bei Junjian's eyes changed suddenly. What is this pleasure? I haven't felt it for a long time. After only a few short fights, he became deeply interested in his opponent. Have a good fight. Titan Mad Bull's huge arm clenched towards the sky. An epee appeared in his hand. This is Leoni's companion weapon, Nameless. Are you ready to die? Giant Xiu, Junzi. Sword, Bei Junjian. The one who killed you. Destroy. Open the sky. The Titan Crazy Bull's huge body is very bulky, and his own speed is not very good. I ran away from the demigods, because the aura of the demigods was almost exhausted. Therefore, in his dictionary, there is no word for dodge. The 1,000-meter heavy sword fell down with a single sword, and the force of hundreds of thousands of tons fell towards Bei Junjian. He didn't care whether Bei Junjian would dodge. It's just an appetizer anyway. When the heavy sword was slashed, a sword shadow condensed like sword energy. Two giant swords collide with each other. Bang, boom. The wind and clouds changed color, and the huge airflow swept away the clouds in the sky. The two swords collided, and the violent collision produced a subtle electric current. The current was mixed with the sound of the wind, instantly drowning the entire battlefield. What about his body? I don't know. I seem to have been taken away by the Bug King just now, right? It's so miserable that he was actually spotted by the Insect King, and I feel sorry for him. The 7 sacred beasts mocked Ye Chen in a fake manner, and the clones Ye Chen are also a little speechless. The body says no. Good guy, brothers, don't worry about the idiot of the main body. How about we get the billion points in front of us first? 1. Strange beast has more than 100 million points. 7. 1 billion must have it. Good idea. That guy on the main body will definitely not die, and we can't live if he dies, right? So keep doing things. I think so. With the group action of 49 avatars, groups of 7 floated in front of the 7 sacred beasts. Let's not talk about the body, since he asked us to kill you. I have to say sorry to you. Ha 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 ha. Look what I heard. Are you kidding me? The main body is gone. Just rely on your clones? Still want to kill us? That's right. I advise you to get out of the way. Let's go over and let me eat a few humans to be happy and happy. I haven't eaten the human for a long time, especially the newborn. Special. Boom. Before the colorful Madara could finish speaking, a blazing knife slammed into her face instantly. Miscellaneous, you say it again. I saw the avatar who was doing it with a grim expression. Do not. It's 49 clones. All of them look hideous. Can this flame hurt me? Impossible. There are all kinds of things. All are ashes. Raijinjaka. X4949 Ye Chen took a step forward, Raijinjaka in his hand emitting a powerful flame. The 39 flaming Ye Chens wrapped in flames looked up at the chicken who spoke. Although it is a sacred beast, at this moment, the chicken panicked. I don't know why. I always thought that I would die. What are you looking at? You humans are allowed to eat chickens, and I'm not allowed to eat humans? The chicken yelled frantically. You're right, but I still want to kill you. The body should like eating chicken. The 49 clones blew wind under their feet and flew towards the 7 alien beasts. The power of emptiness poured out of my heart, and the mask of emptiness appeared. Move your body in an instant, beasts. Just let the little men stay in the beast's den. The 7 alien beasts looked at Ye Chen's sudden rise of great momentum and quickly defended. Although it is a clone, who knows how strong he is, so everyone's first reaction is to first watch how powerful the opponent's attack ability is. But the next second, they were all stunned. I saw the 49 Ye Chen figures disappeared instantly. At the same time, appear on top of the chicken's head. Bankai. Residual fire sword. X49 what to play? Exclamation mark. Kill her. What? No body. Residual fire is too strong. One shot doesn't work. Another shot. Remnant. Fire sword east. Rising sun blade. 49. Residual fire sword stabbed at the chicken head point. When the clones finished shouting the rising sun blade, countless flames poured into the residual fire sword point. The residual fire is to knife into the body point. The clones Ye Chen didn't pay any attention, pulled out the residual fire sword, and turned to look at the other 7 beasts. It's your turn. Boom. Bang. Huge flames erupted from the colorful Madara chicken point. The rules of the rising sun blade directly destroyed the head of the chicken and beast, turning it into ashes and drifting away in the wind. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Manual Destruction of the Human Race. After Ye Chen was pulled into this strange space, a voice kept ringing in his ears, annoying to death. It's even more annoying than the system. When Ye Chen had this idea, the system also wanted to say something. Who the fuck is the most annoying? Don't you count 13 in your heart? Who are you? Where is this place? This king, the void. Just like this king's name, this is a void. PFFT. What a dirty name. Shut up. Ants. The void insect king didn't endure the third sentence. There should be applause here. I just want to know, what is your void? What's the use? What's the use? I didn't say it just now. All the rules here are made by me. Ye Chen immediately became interested when he heard this sentence. I thought you were just joking. You can really make it up. Then aren't you a god? Hahaha. Even if you praise me as a god, I can't let you go. You were possessed by 50 pieces. What? $50? Don't change the subject. I have a few questions to ask you. Ye Chen frowned slightly. This guy doesn't play cards according to the routine point, of course. The idea of the Bug King is also this. How did you create the rules of your clone? Why don't the rules I created have self-awareness? This question. After Ye Chen heard the Bug King's question, he suddenly fell into deep thought. The void insect king hid in the dark, ready to listen to Ye Chen's answer. I do not want to tell you. After a moment of silence, Ye Chen's first words woke up from his meditation, which made the void insect king's face darken. Although it was originally black. If you don't tell me, I'll kill you. Cut. You can try. Ye Chen said indifferently. The void insect king was so angry that he gave an order to pry the air. The gas in the void disappeared instantly and was expelled from the space. Ye Chen was also caught off guard by this sudden attack. The air in the lungs is instantly evacuated, resulting in direct departure. Give air. When the void insect king spoke again, air appeared again in this space. Ye Chen took a deep breath of air. F***ck. This feels really painful. How? Can you tell me the truth? The void insect king said proudly. This made Ye Chen incomprehensible. It can be seen from his actions just now that this guy only said 2 words. Just change this space twice. Why do you still need your own help? No, if you ask me, I have to know too. I don't know why they have self-awareness. Ye Chen shouted that he had never suffered this kind of grievance in his life. Just a few seconds after I acted handsome, I was inexplicably pulled into this dark space. Facing invisible opponents. Weird tactics. What can I do? Could it be trying to smash the space? I don't know. I don't know. You couldn't tell me earlier. Waste my time. Destroy it. The void insect king said angrily. Ye Chen was stunned, and the severe pain swept through his body. Ye Chen, who has died n times, has ignored the pain. But this level of pain was the first time I had experienced it. The void insect king was stunned. How is it possible? The severe pain caused by the destruction of the rules. Even the Titan guy cried out, but when he saw that Ye Chen's body was breaking, he was relieved. Ye Chen felt this strange power and felt a little novel. His arm was destroyed by this force and disappeared into the void with the whole person. Ants. This king thought you would be the second person who could resist destruction. I thought too much. The void insect king watched Ye Chen disappear and said disdainfully, opening the entrance to the void and leaving. I Can't stop it, but you can't kill me. As soon as the screen turned, the Void Insect King turned his head to look. I saw Ye Chen sitting on the throne he created before. The flame was burning on the emerald green wood, and Ye Chen sat lazily on it. Thank you for the massage package sent by Leo Tai. If you can, come a few more. Void Insect King. Ye Chen also wanted to fight back, but he really couldn't see where the other party was, and he couldn't even catch Sharingan running to ultimate point. It seems that the person who spoke has been integrated into this space. How is it possible? How could such a thing happen? The Void Insect King did not understand this kind of thing at all. After Ye Chen heard a certain guy muttering to himself, he started his god level passive. I don't understand that. Isn't it just resurrection? You control the rules, but you don't understand resurrection. No, no, no. You can't even resurrect. You can't even see the rules of life, right? It's so pitiful. Destruction of the rules is also very interesting, or I'll let you see more interesting the rule of. Ye Chen sat up from the throne with a very strange expression on his face. The Void Insect King suddenly felt a little unsure in his heart, and always felt that something would happen. But why is this guy's word so irritating? I saw Ye Chen put his hands together. Let me test it first. How much things can this space bear say? Jotwood style true several thousand hands. Ye Chen gave a low drink. Born out of thin air from the countless trees behind him. What do you want to do? I didn't say test the size of the space. Ye Chen responded with a smile. In a blink of an eye, the 1,000-meter high Buddha head appeared. The Void Insect King is panicking. What is this? This void of his own can accommodate the peak of the bull's head, and he is only 20,000 meters tall. And this head is 4 or 5 kilometers away. That body. Hey, what are your rules? You ask me. Who am I to ask? Ye Chen responded with a smile. You said that your void will be burst by my Buddha. Get me out of the void. The Void Insect King was anxious. With a wave of the little hand, the entire void trembled wildly. Ye Chen's body was shocked, and the whole person was expelled from the void with the big Buddha above the sky. The collision between Beijunjian and Titan Kuang Niu sword after sword. They were playing happily. Suddenly, a shadow covering the sky and the sun shrouded one person and one beast. The first reaction of Beijunjian and Titan Crazy Bull was to glance at the situation above their heads. The two looked at each other and were almost scared to death. Fuck. X3 what is this? The Titan Mad Bull looked at the emerald green thing that fell from the top of his head. You fucking hit me with a planet? Ye Chen. Can you please stop messing around? Bei Junjian's eyes were about to protrude, and he kept flying towards the distance. Just kidding. This 30,000 meter thing, although I can cut it open, it definitely has no fighting power. The big Buddha can't jump, but he can throw it like a stone. Ye Chen stood at an altitude of 100,000 meters watching the 35,000 kilometer Buddha fall towards the ground. His eyes were full of surprises. Beijunjian scolded angrily. Hurry up and take it back. Smash this thing down. Humans don't have to resist alien beasts. You will kill your clan directly. Chapter 204 Pony. This is what you bumped into. Ye Chen was still watching this magical scene from high in the sky and suddenly heard two voices below. Only then did I discover that there was a bull's head and a Beijun sword under my feet. Yo, old white, what a coincidence. What a coincidence. He's tall. Hurry up and put it away. Ah. Oh, okay. Ye Chen just remembered to put the Buddha away. With the lifting of true several thousand hands, the sky cleared for a while. Beijunjian and the Titan Crazy Bull came back to their senses and didn't run away anymore. The 49 Ye Chen clones on the ground and the remaining 6 holy beasts also stared blankly at the appearance of the giant Buddha and then watched the disappearance of the giant Buddha. The main body. Is it too much? If the true several thousand hands smash down, we have to be smashed to death by him, right? Hey, I still have the heart to observe other people's battles. We have 49 residual fire swords. If we don't solve the battle quickly, the world will be destroyed. A certain Shyandeo hiding in the dark. You still know. So why don't you end the fight now? Exclamation mark. Ye Chen glanced at the Titan Crazy Bull and Beijunjian, then turned and left. Go ahead and leave me alone. Then 2 fingers are attached to the forehead, and the teleportation is used again. I saw 49 clones running, and Ye Chen's main body appeared. You disperse Bankei, and then leave it to me. Go and help Sister Binking and Brothers Allay. Well, the troops are divided into 2 groups. As for how to arrange it, you can decide. Ye Chen's words instantly stunned the remaining sacred beasts. This guy, do you want to use the body to fight with yourself? Is he pretending? Boy, you have arranged your clones elsewhere. Are you looking down on us? Although the old chicken is dead, she is the weakest on our side. Don't get me wrong. The 6 alien beasts stood on the spot and scolded Ye Chen angrily. After Ye Chen instructed to go down, the clones instantly split into 2 groups to support the others. It's so boring. Ye Chen twisted his neck and turned to look at the 6 alien beasts in front of him. I don't look down on you, but you are just trash to me. Ye Chen smiled and said to several people, you, how am I? Ye Chen pulled out the Raijin Jaka hanging from his waist. You say, I use the same moves from my hands. What's the difference? As soon as these words came out, all the beasts panicked. He's just bluffing. Don't be afraid of him. Ye Chen suddenly looked at the alien beast with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Then let's start with you. The power of emptiness poured out of his heart. I saw Ye Chen put 2 fingers on his forehead and muttered, Bankei, the residual fire sword. At that moment, monstrous flames poured out of Ye Chen. Then poured into the long sword. Ye Chen's figure disappeared instantly. All the holy beasts panicked instantly. I saw that next to the huge forehead of the alien beast that Ye Chen had just stared at, a figure gently spoke to him with a residual fire sword. Where are you looking? In an instant, the alien beast's eyes widened, and he was covered in cold sweat. Do not, it's too late. Reincarnation in the next life. The moment Ye Chen finished speaking, a knife stabbed into its body. Ow, I forgot. I killed him with his soul. What a pity. At this moment, Ye Chen, the white and flustered mask on his face, is in the eyes of other alien beasts. It's like Shinigami. The current scene is just like when the clones killed the colorful Madara chicken just now. It's just faster and does more damage. Only a knife. A whole holy beast turned into dust, and just now that guy was chopped 49 times before a chicken head disappeared. There was only one word in the minds of the remaining 5 surviving alien beasts: escape. Ye Chen jokingly watched a few alien beasts flee. It's useless. Haven't you wondered why I suddenly appeared beside it? The smile under Ye Chen's mask gradually perverted. This ability is just for me. What teleportation turtle kickin'? What is this? My name is the teleportation sunblade. One knife is 999. There are countless 9s emitted. Ye Chen's words made the 5 alien beasts speed up their escape. Warm reminder, I remember your breath when saying this. Ye Chen's fingers were already on his forehead. Ye Chen disappeared instantly. Appeared again, in front of Marmion, with the residual fire sword held in front of him. I saw the eyes of the horse's face, whose speed was so fast too ultimate, was huge. Can't stop the car. Directly slammed into the residual fire sword. And Ye Chen is just holding the residual fire sword. Bang. Before Marmion led to death, the last sentence I heard was, you hit it yourself, you can't blame me. The horseface is about to cry. Goddamn, I hit it myself. Next, Ye Chen put his fingers on his forehead again. When the remaining 4 alien beasts saw this scene, they suddenly felt that the speed was fast, and it was not a good thing. Hey, why are you slowing down? Ye Chen sat jokingly on top of a monkey's head. The monkey heard Ye Chen's voice above his head, and his whole body went cold instantly. Unfortunately, I thought I could kill a zodiac sign. Then, do you have a last word? The monkey stopped and said solemnly, skills are not as good as people. Kill them. Ye Chen's eyes lit up when he heard this sentence. This monkey has backbone. Oh, it's a Chinese monkey. You can. However, normal people with backbone will die quickly. Without any hesitation, Ye Chen stabbed the monkey in the forehead. After solving the monkey, Ye Chen used teleport again. Ye Chen used the same trick 6 times in total. After killing the 6 sacred beasts, Ye Chen silently opened the enhancement panel. Available credits: 2.3 billion. Immortal Wood Style, Strengthening Demand, 1 billion points. Enhanced Content, mixed with Yin Yang Shield, Enhanced Fire Immunity, Inextinguishable Rules Hokage World Class Sage Body, a Sage of 6 Paths body that cannot be strengthened and reaches its peak point. Raijin Jaka Enhanced Edition, Enhanced Demand, 1 billion points. Enhancement Content, Shike State Flame with Destruction Effect, Power of Vasto Lord, Strengthening Demand, 10 billion points. Enhanced Content, Perfect Steel Skin, Hollow Armor covering the upper body, Eternal Mangeki Sharingan without Kamu. Enhanced Demand, 1 billion points. Enhancement Content, Strengthen Mental Power, add Kamu. Advanced Conqueror's Haki. Enhanced Demand, 1 billion points. Enhancement, unlock emission to can be strengthened, although there are currently 4 that can be strengthened. Ye Chen has already thought about what he needs. Eternal Mangeki without Kamu. What is a perfect Eternal Mangeki? Of course not, so order Mangeki first. Hehe chapter 205. Do you call this sword Intensity of Destruction? Are you sure? IT and -039, S not nuclear. Ye Chen's obsession with Kamu is estimated to be on top of his immortality point. Immortal? Although I was resurrected, I still died once after all, but Kamu is different. A. Did you hit me? No, you didn't. A. Guess I can hit you? A. I can. It was originally a bug-like ability, so it's no wonder that the system suppressed Ye Chen so early. How exaggerated is Kamu when fighting against Kaguya, forcibly crack Huanquan Hirazaka, and enter other people's space point after death. He communicated with the present world from the Pure Land for a short time, and the way to enter the Kamu space has not explained the second one, that is to say, the independent space. Obito would never have been hurt in his life if he hadn't given Kakashi an eye using dual Kamu at the same time. Even has the effect of accelerating the entry into the Kamu space point. Isn't this kind of magic trick? When Eternal Mangeki clicked down, Ye Chen's eyes suddenly heated up. A warm warmth just made Ye Chen feel comfortable. Almighty Mangeki, Strengthening Demand, 10 billion points. Reinforcement, Junior Rinnegan for the remaining 1 billion points. Ye Chen doesn't plan to use it for the time being. Although the current Wood Style and Raijin Jaka are both billion level point, but their destructive power has reached world level point under the urging of the Buddha with all his strength, digging through the blue star. It was quite easy. Not to mention Raijin Jaka, it only takes half an hour for the residual fire to kill a large part of the creatures in the world point. In another half an hour, the blue star server will be reset, and I don't know if there will be any registered users by then, although it is almost the same as killing the sacred beasts now. Ye Chen always felt that things were not that simple. If a god really came down, what method should be used to kill him? The system once said that it only takes one knife, but what method is used to take a fancy to the opponent with that knife? Ashes of Heaven and Earth has no power of rules, only temperature and damage. Only when the tip of the rising sun blade touches the opponent, the explosion can burn everything it touches. Ye Chen doesn't think his current strength can hit a god. So keep the points for now. It really doesn't work, then strengthen Raijin Jaka and see if the Ashes of Heaven and Earth can kill the gods. After completing this series of operations, Ye Chen used the old method to pluck the feathers of the colorful Madara chicken. On the flower knife, wrap the Wood Style, and then start the stew chicken pot. Dappen Bird said, I'm familiar with this, a chicken, thank you, I'll be cooking it soon. Then he sat on his throne again, watching the battle between Beijunjian and the Titan Crazy Bull with great interest. Little human beings can actually fight against the old bull for hundreds of rounds. The Titan Mad Bull became more and more excited as he fought, and boasted at Beijunjian. It's just that when I praised, I also praised myself. By the way, heh, you are still the only one among the alien beasts I have ever seen who dares to face me with dozens of swords. Huh? What do you mean? Leoniu has to thank you for your compliment. Titan Mad Niu raised his heavy sword again, and dropped it towards Beijunjian. If you have this idea, of course I'm very happy. However, Titan Bull, have you ever experienced death? Junjian raised his sword and closed his eyes, his face gloomy. The Titan Crazy Bull watched Beijunjian suddenly close his eyes and felt uneasy. Beijunjian has always had the upper hand in the fight against him. While bouncing off his attack, he used his speed advantage to cause damage to himself. And now suddenly closed your eyes? Give up resistance. Impossible. I saw that the white closed Beijunjian exuded a black light, wrapping around his body like smoke. Beijunjian still didn't open his eyes, and he waved the sword with his right hand. With just one strike, the epee of the Titan Crazy Bull was bounced off by a huge force. How is this possible? The Titan Mad Cow was shocked. What was the situation? Although Beijunjian is very powerful, the performance just now is obviously not so powerful. Now, Ye Chen is watching the battle with a watermelon at the moment. He is actually a little afraid of the breath of Beijunjian. It's a little funny to say, Beijunjian, Junzijian, but my sword intent will be destruction. Beijunjian suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, his eyes were full of killing intent, and he no longer had the dull look he had before. Ye Chen looked at Beijunjian in this state, and became interested. The sword saint in white, the black sword of destruction is haunted. Simply handsome. What are you? Why did you suddenly change your breath? The Titan Mad Bull asked inexplicably. Beijunjian raised the Junzijian, and looked at the long sword in his hand indifferently. The moment I step into the holy realm, the sword of destruction will grow with me, but I haven't been able to look directly, and I have always believed in the style of a gentleman. I shouldn't have such a bloodthirsty sword intent that I just want to destroy. So, you are honored to be the first holy realm alien beast to die under my sword intent. Having said that, Beijunjian felt that it would be disrespectful to himself not to give the opponent a sword. Gently swing the sword. Sword 1. This is the most basic swordsmanship of Beijunjian. Cutting out a basic sword key. It's just that the sword energy is wrapped around the sword energy this time. The Titan Crazy Bull watched the sword key flying towards him and subconsciously raised his head to block it. Bang. The moment the sword key touched the Titan Crazy Bull, the sword key instantly compressed and exploded. The moment the small ball formed by that black light exploded, a black halo appeared. Ye Chen couldn't look directly at this move. A black halo? Hey. Titan Mad Bull was caught off guard by this move. What's with this severe pain? My powerful body has long since forgotten too much pain. And today, Ye Chen was also dumbfounded. Do you call this the sword intent of destruction? You should be called nuclear explosion sword intent. Wait. After the nuclear explosion, nothing will grow, and after the destruction of sword intent, nothing will grow. The nuclear explosion equals destruction. Destruction equals nuclear explosion. Shit, it doesn't seem to be a problem, does it? But Ye Chen didn't understand why Beijunjian had such a powerful strength, but he didn't use it. It's really a cue. It's you who pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger. A flood dragon king can give you a sneak attack and half death. As long as you are so serious. Ye Chen thought of this and was suddenly stunned. A flash of light flashed in his mind, and the whole person suddenly realized. Hands clapped suddenly. I see. You're afraid that your sword will kill the opponent and kill your teammates, so you don't use the sword intent. Chapter 206. The real collapse of the sky. With a little personal hatred, Beijunjian, who was concentrating on the battle, heard Ye Chen muttering to himself. Suddenly my body trembled. Good guy, you've helped me find all the excuses. In fact, I'm just afraid that the character of my gentleman's sword will collapse. After all, I have always been kind and affectionate to people, and I will help if I can help. But after this sword intent came out, it was like a devil. His hair was floating behind him, and his body was full of black sword intent. Neither looked like a good guy. What do you say I use it? But this idea of Beijunjian, it was also broken by Ye Chen. Since I saw the video of Ye Chen fighting the evil king. Beijunjian was a little moved. At that time, Ye Chen was like a bad guy, laughing and sneering, wearing a mask on his face, and those who didn't know thought you were the villain. Therefore, it was because of this incident that Beijunjian used his sword intent. Otherwise, I'm afraid that until Beijunjian dies, he will set up with others for the sake of face, so he will not use this power. Ye Chen would never have dreamed that he would silently influence another person. What kind of power are you? Why are you so powerful? The Titan Crazy Bull's eyes were shocked, and he stood there sluggishly. There was a burning pain from the wound on the arm, and Titan Crazy Bull said that this was the first time. Are you going to be chased for 3 days and 3 nights? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Thinking of this, the Titan Crazy Bull's eyes gradually became crazy, and it's better to strike first. Crash. Strike. The Titan Bull is strong, but his fighting skills are simply too cumbersome. Bei Junjian raised his head and looked blankly at his heavy sword slashing towards his crotch from bottom to top, completely dismissive. In this state, his sword intent surrounds himself, and there is absolutely no need to avoid the opponent's attack point, because destruction sword intent will help him block all attacks the moment when the epee of the Titan Crazy Bull touched the sole of Bei Junjian's feet. A huge explosion sounded instantly. The Titan Crazy Bull was stunned. Why does this also happen when attacking the opponent? The light of the explosion faded, and Bei Junjian's figure was not shaken in the slightest point, and the epee also stopped in place and didn't move. He collapsing heaven strike. From bottom to top, so named collapsing heaven. In that case, I'll let you see and see my collapsing heaven. The moment Bei Junjian finished saying this, his right hand Junzijian came out of his hand. The Junzijian flew towards the sky, and the Titan Crazy Bull was at a loss as to what Bei Junjian was doing. But Ye Chen stared at Junzijian. Sharingan turned to ultimate. The gentleman's sword continued to accelerate, and a faint light appeared around the sword point until the gentleman's sword touched the membrane of the blue star barrier in the black prison dragon. King was also shocked by this long sword. Has someone been able to touch the barrier? Is that the demigod? And Bei Junjian didn't know all of this, just looked up at the sky and said to the Titan Mad Bull beside him, "You have 3 seconds to escape." As soon as these words came out, the Titan Crazy Bull's forehead tightened, and he was about to escape from here. He always felt a sense of unease in his heart, and this uneasiness came from above the sky, that is, the sword point. But the moment he pulled the epee and was about to run, the epee didn't move at all. As if the entire epee was fixed in space, the Titan Crazy Bull looked back. I saw Bei Junjian smiling at him, and that smile was like a demon in the eyes of the Titan Crazy Bull. He quickly let go of his hand and flew into the distance. It's too late. Bei Junjian looked up again. It's here, above the sky. A sound of breaking wind gradually approached the two of them. Ye Chen looked at the behemoth, sweat pouring down his forehead. This Bei Junjian pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger is really too much. The Titan Crazy Cow also looked up. His eyes instantly lost. The 3-foot-long sword was dazzling. And that's not the point, but the shadow of the sword around the gentleman's sword. Wow. Above the sky, the clouds were instantly swept away by this airflow. The tip of the sword broke through the clouds. The sword shadow condensed from the Black Phantom attacked the Titan Bull with a huge pressure. The Titan Mad Bull was instantly locked by this breath, and his body instantly lost control. Is it only that big? But it's enough. Bei Junjian looked at the sword shadow attached to the gentleman's sword, and the tip of the sword was 2 kilometers wide. One can imagine how big this sword shadow is. At least 60,000 meters in length. The length of the sword is 1 meter, and the width of the sword is 3.7. If the sword is 2,000 wide, it is almost 60,000 in length. The specific value is too lazy to calculate. Ye Chen watched Bei Junjian's operation and suddenly stood up from the throne. This move, coupled with his nuclear explosion sword intent. Are you really afraid of destroying the human race? The tip of the sword locks the Titan Crazy Bull, and the entire phantom longsword weir acts on the Titan Crazy Bull. I saw the Titan Crazy Cow falling from the sky, and the huge pressure made him unable to float in the air. Boom. At the moment when the Titan Crazy Cow landed, it sank into the ground thousands of meters deep. The huge shock directly made the alien beasts and human races on the entire battlefield lose their ability to fight. Ye Chen looked up at the collapsed sky that was getting faster and faster. He gritted his teeth hard, not knowing if he could make it. Strengthen. Wood style. Immortal. Wood style. Strengthening demand. 1 billion points. Enhanced content. Mixed with yin yang shield. Enhanced fire immunity. Inextinguishable rules. Will class wood style. Strengthening demand. Tens of billions of points. Enhanced content. Control the yin and yang escape. The world becomes a world with a single thought, in case someone doesn't understand. The world-class wood style here is the current level, and the later enhancement needs are to become the next level, and the name of the next level is unknown, so it is now the world-class wood style. Ye Chen swallowed his saliva. The world-class wood style. I couldn't help it, sage. Art. The tree world is born. Ye Chen added silently in his heart. Extra large. I saw countless huge logs pouring out from under the Titan Crazy Bull, directly lifting the Titan Crazy Bull from the ground. Ye Chen always felt that this was not enough and gritted his teeth. Wood. Style wood clone. The previous 49 clones have not been recovered, and this has divided dozens of them. Go. Save people. The moment the clones came out, they felt a terrifying aura above the sky point without any hesitation. Dozens of wooden dragons started rescue operations towards the entire battlefield. Juggernaut, you have some personal hatred for this move. You want to kill me together, right? Ye Chen roared. The spiritual energy in his body poured into the tree world madly. A semicircular bowl-shaped thing appeared, and the Titan Bull was in the bowl formed by this wood style. The 10,000 meter tall Titan Crazy Cow is like a piece of meat in this bowl. 40 to 50,000 meters in diameter and 4 to 50,000 meters in height. This is already Ye Chen's limit. Chapter 207 and -039, SMOOTHLY and -039. Bei Junjian stood high in the sky, watching Ye Chen's series of performances immediately broke the defense. His face was covered with Art's smile. I knew that this kid will definitely not let it go. I'm impulsive. So many moves, why did I use a devastating one? Forget it, Ye Chen is here. No surprise. Bei Junjian immediately began to watch the battle. This guy's really too much. Speaking of which, Bei Junjian originally intended to use a more handsome move point, but this Titan Mad Cow was so immortal that he used a blow to the sky point. Can this be tolerated? Bei Junjian said. I also have a trick to collapse the sky. Do you want to try it? And then started his show. Ye Chen was so nervous at the moment that he even forgot to see any changes in wood style. How big is the entire battlefield? And his wood style accounts for more than half of it. This move can't be prevented. Everyone here, except Ye Chen who is immortal and Camus, everyone else has to die. No. Is that guy Bei Junjian unable to guard against his own moves? The last time I almost killed the dapping bird with one blow. I almost killed myself. Thinking of this, Ye Chen put two fingers on his forehead and moved towards Bei Junjian in an instant. Put his arm on Bei Junjian's body. Camus. At the same time, the phantom of the gentleman's sword entwined with the huge sword intent also landed on the Titan Crazy Bull. Without a gorgeous explosion. The Titans want to say a few last words, but he couldn't say it. The pressure made him lose any ability to act. Ye Chen. Bei Junjian looked at Ye Chen's sudden appearance with a confused expression. Stop talking nonsense. It's not that you are afraid that you will be killed by your own moves. Didn't I tell you that I'm invincible in this state? Well, to be precise, the sword will help me block all attacks in this state. You said shit. When did you say it? You said earlier that I wouldn't waste time coming to save you. Ye Chen said angrily. And the moment the phantom longsword touched the Titan Crazy Bull, it fell into the Titan Crazy Bull's body. With that, tens of thousands of meters of sword shadows all entered the body of the Titan Crazy Bull. Junzijian also quickly left the distance and flew towards Bei Junjian. I saw Bei Junjian silently say, breaking the sky. Ye Chen rolled his eyes. Who did this guy learn his ability to pretend to be a force? Does he still accept apprentices? I saw a black light burst out from the emerald green wood style. The sudden fluctuation gave Ye Chen's world-class wood style signs of disintegration. Ye Chen's face turned pale. This damn, if it doesn't strengthen, wood style can't even hold it for a moment. Juggernaut, you are going too far. Why don't you give the name of Juggernaut to your son? You can change your name to Sword Demon. Bei Junjian smiled helplessly. Blame me. It's the first time I've used this trick. It's been running through my mind thousands of times, and finally I have a chance to use it. Haha. Aren't you afraid of destroying the human race along with you? Ye Chen is now a group of angry people. Hearing the unpleasantness in Ye Chen's tone, Bei Junjian turned his head and said, isn't this where you are? Ye Chen pouted and stopped talking. Otherwise he would be pissed off by this guy. After the black light continued for a few breaths, a dazzling white light followed. Boom. Boom 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 boom. A huge black beam of light shot up into the sky. The range gradually became larger, and Ye Chen's wood style could hardly hold up. Ye Chen pointed at his wood style helplessly and said, my wood style can't hold up anymore. What should I do now? Try again. I know you can do it. You're a 45-year-old man. Be normal. Ye Chen stepped out helplessly. I really can't help you, Sage. Artwood style True several thousand hands. True several thousand hands didn't know that the first battle, after strengthening himself, was not for fighting. It's used to block attacks. The spiritual energy in Ye Chen's body has almost been exhausted, and now he is using life force point. But we have the fountain of life. What are we afraid of? Even more extreme things happened. Around the huge beam of light, countless trees grew. Directly wrap the black light beam in it. The 100,000 meter Buddha debut. So here comes the question. The black ball of light in the middle of the emerald green Buddha's body. If it explodes, will the Buddha disappear? True several thousand hands. I thank you. I thought it was too much to block the attack, but I didn't expect to wrap the attack directly in the body. Ye Chen stared at the black ball of light growing in the Buddha's body and suddenly panicked. Don't make trouble, bro. You can't blow up. Ye Chen's first reaction was that armed color at the big Buddha. Suddenly crying stupidly. Because of my own thoughts, your family's armed colors are wrapped around the 100,000 meter Buddha. Whether it can be done, it depends. Ye Chen controlled the big Buddha to move wildly on the ground, running wildly away from the human race. Bang, boom, boom boom. The Buddha, who had run halfway, was instantly blown up by this force. Why is there nothing at all about the Buddha? Ye Chen was stunned. The light exploded with the Titan crazy bull, but the Buddha was okay. Not to mention Ye Chen was stunned. Even Beijunjian was stunned. I saw Ye Chen glanced in the direction of Beijunjian, and Beijunjian also glanced at Ye Chen. True several thousand hands. Demo. Fortunately there are rules of immortality. The entire Buddha swelled up like a balloon, and there was no injury on his body. Ye Chen reacted to something and quickly opened the strengthening panel. Yes, I have rules of immortality. Junjian didn't know when he appeared next to Ye Chen. You have the rule of immortality, but my sword intent comes with destruction. Ye Chen heard Beijunjian's words. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly, and he roared at him. You are called nuclear explosion sword intent. Don't call it destruction. Oh, don't be angry. Isn't it okay, Junjian waved his hand, trying to ease the embarrassment. This is where I am. That's why it's okay. I'm really scared now that I will wake up one day. You are standing high in the sky. Alien beasts are dead, and the blue star is in ruins. The human race was also wiped out by you. Coincidence? Is not. This sentence Xiandao also wants to say. Beijunjian seemed to realize his mistake when he heard Ye Chen's words. Sure. Enough. I should not use this power. Ye Chen was taken aback for a moment. Alas, it's okay. Just use it if you want. Just tell me before you use it. Chapter 208 I-039. And quat. Really and quat. No stronger. Ye Chen was stunned for Beijunjian's sudden depression. I still couldn't bear it, so I had no choice but to say that I was there. The problem was not big. Suddenly, Ye Chen looked back at Beijunjian and said earnestly, Juggernaut, if we are sick, we should go to the doctor. It's alright. No shame. Isn't it just sick? After saying this, he turned around and left without saying a word, leaving Beijunjian standing alone in a daze. Did he call me seriously ill? However, what Ye Chen thought was that Beijunjian was so excited just now that he could use such a powerful skill, but he started emo after being scolded. Maybe there is a legendary bipolar disorder. Of course, this idea is fortunate that Beijunjian doesn't know. Otherwise he has to say something. If I have bipolar disorder, then you have multiple schizophrenia, binge laughter, indirect psychosis. Ye Chen flew to the side of the Buddha, and the sword intent of destruction in the Buddha's body was still surging frantically. Trying to find the exit of the big Buddha. Ye Chen looked at this scene. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. What a good guy. Fortunately, the big Buddha's leather swallow and mouth are sealed. Ye Chen simply ignores the Buddha. It won't blow up anyway. It doesn't matter. At the same time, Ye Chen opened the strengthening interface. Looking at the 1.5 billion points in the interface, I fell into contemplation. Just 1.3 billion, spent 1 billion, and then increased by 1.2 billion, but Ye Chen didn't make a fuss. After all, the clones should have killed all the other holy beasts. It's a pity that this titan crazy bull was killed by Beijunjian point, but now that Blue Star's sacred beasts are dead, the tens of billions of points to evolve next is simply out of reach. When Ye Chen and Beijunjian returned to the Tower of the Gods, a figure appeared on the battlefield again. Huh. Strange. How can there be no soul? If there is no soul, how will the beast god come? This person is another vice chief of the beast god cult, who has been hiding in the shadows just to collect souls. When Chen Nanfeng communicated that the meteorite wanted to destroy the capital city, it was also for the soul point, and at this moment, there is only one living person left in the beast god cult point. That is the Zuo Dashi in front of him point. The talent of the dark attribute can be regarded as a unique existence in the human race. But it uses this powerful talent to harm the human race point, and Chen Nanfeng and those people were sacrificed to the soul bottle by Zuo Dashi long ago. Point mission failed and want to survive. Since no souls were collected, use their souls to make up the number. So at this moment, Zuo Dashi was the only one left in the beast god cult point queue. What does a real bare bones command look like? That's what he is. Zuo Dashi sighed deeply. I knew I would leave an errand for myself. I'm also a strong man in the Holy Land, but now I have been reduced to running around to collect souls. Fortunately, after all, it is a war, and there are still a lot of soul collections from humans and alien beasts. That is, there is still a certain distance from the collection of soul bottles, and now the alien beast has been defeated. Seeing that the human race is about to regain the entire Blue Star, although he is a strong man in the Holy Realm, it is impossible to fight against these people. Is the dark element powerful? Of course strong. Then can you carry the sword of the Juggernaut? Forget it. Excuse me. Point therefore, Zuo Dashi plans to set off immediately, and before the advance army of the human race kills most of the alien beasts, he will take the lead in attacking, and obtain more souls. When Zuo Dashi left, he was still depressed. Why? So many souls disappeared. Fortunately, Ye Chen, they came in time. Kian Meng lay on the ground with a lifeless face, and she almost explained it here with her old bones. In a blink of an eye, it has already surpassed us. Zhang Bingqing glanced at the 20 or so clones not far away, and his heart was full of emotion. Point at the beginning, Ye Chen was still so insignificant in the distant view mirror. In a blink of an eye, the Holy Land was already suppressed by him raising his hand. Point and more than 20 Ye Chen in the distance, while helping the wounded around him. Point on the other side, bickering. What was the queen called just now? I went in with a knife, came out with a knife, and died immediately. I must have killed it. Fart. Obviously I cut off her neck. Don't talk about it. Isn't that frostwater crane's wings delicious? I deliberately didn't use Bankei just now. If I hadn't reminded you not to use Bankei just now, would you accept it? Cut. I was going to put away Bankei. It's unnecessary. Kian Meng and Zhang Bingqing couldn't help laughing while listening to their conversation. Point as expected of Ye Chen, even the avatar is so personal. Point besides, Zhang Zilei on the other side is doubting his life. I can't even match Ye Chen's clone now. I beat myself to death there, fighting hard. Then after Ye Chen's clones came, they treated themselves again, took them away in another wave, and then treated the injured warriors. Then I listened to more than 20 Ye Chen chatting there throughout the whole process. Really appreciate it. As expected of Ye Chen's avatar, everyone's thoughts are exactly the same. Point fight first, then treat, and then fight for merit. On the other hand, Ye Chen and Beijunjian also returned to the Tower of Human God. Speaking of Sword Saint, are you sure there is no more powerful attack? Ye Chen asked after Beijunjian. Point on the way back just now, Beijunjian murmured, but fortunately, this trick was used. Ye Chen was petrified at that time, and the whole person was not well. It's really gone. Where did I get a more powerful attack? You spare me. Be honest. If you don't tell the truth, you will have a son without an asshole. Hearing Ye Chen's curse, Beijunjian's face was strange. Point doesn't he know that my Bei family is a single lineage? Oh no, like I have 2 sons myself. Can I get another one? Hey, don't be silent. Hurry up and say it. Ye Chen stepped forward and grabbed Bei Junjian. Bei Junjian wanted to cry without tears. No more. You. Touch your conscience and tell me. Are you stronger? Bei Junjian suddenly turned around, touched his left chest and said solemnly, it's really gone. Ye Chen listened to these words and nodded thoughtfully. Last time when you cut the Dappen bird, you seemed to have said that it was your strongest move. Just as Ye Chen spoke, Bei Junjian slipped away in an instant point, leaving Ye Chen messy in the wind alone. The air was quiet for a few seconds. Ye Chen smiled slightly and put 2 fingers on his forehead point. After Bei Junjian got out of Ye Chen's field of vision, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, don't let this kid know my true strength, otherwise I will come to everything in the future. Oh, old Bei, you are not righteous. Chapter 209. Bei Junjian was forced to owe a favor. Ye Chen's words rang in Bei Junjian's ears, and at that moment, a tear hung from the corner of Bei Junjian's eyes. Point finished. Forget about this, he will teleport. It's really over now. I saw Bei Junjian turn his head slowly and said with an embarrassed expression, Ye Chen. I said, just kidding. Do you believe it? Ye Chen responded with a smile. Believe, of course I believe it. How can you not believe what the Sword Saint says? Bei Junjian's face turned pale. He didn't believe Ye Chen's nonsense. Point his tone was full of irony. He didn't believe it when Bei Dishan was killed. No. Ye Chen spoke again before Bei Junjian could speak. I think so. After the demigods retire in the future, you can just sit in the Tower of the Gods. After all, you still have a stronger move, and this collapse of the sky is going to make me stupid, so the stronger one can't kill God. Would you like to start the first battle when the gods outside the realm come into the world? Ye Chen groped his chin and arranged everything in the future clearly. This is inappropriate. You see, what I want is nothing, just a long sword, and it's nothing extraordinary, gentlemen. Sword. Turn your face and don't recognize the sword? Exclamation mark. Ye Chen listened to Bei Junjian's words. His eyes narrowed slightly. It's alright. Isn't this also the nuclear explosion sword intent? That's the sword of destruction. It's not a nuclear explosion. Okay, but destruction. So don't you have destruction? Isn't this strong enough to die? Ye Chen spread his hands and said he understood. Point then he laughed and joked. What is the enemy? Got what do we have? Bei Junjian. Bei Junjian's head is full of black lines. I'm wrong. Can't you give me a treat? Can you stop making trouble? Did I make trouble? My dear, I'm going to tell Laoji, brother Zerlei and sister Binking, and tell them that someone who uses a sword has been pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger from beginning to end. Obviously I can make a move in seconds, but I almost died from the serious injury that I had to pretend TSK as expected of a gentleman's sword. You don't need real power to die. Ye Chen turned around and was about to leave, ready to find someone to complain about. Hey, being cheated by a big guy for so long. It's a little sad to think about it. If Sister Binking and Elder G heard this, would they be angry on the spot? Ye Chen left very slowly. Bei Junjian was confused, and many more. What's the matter, Juggernaut? I'm going to talk to Sister Binking now. Aren't you afraid that I will directly destroy the sword intent with one hand and kill you? Bei Junjian said with a wry smile. Ye Chen didn't hesitate at all. Raijin Jaka drew his sword and slashed at his neck. Point Bei Junjian was stunned. What the hell? This guy can't figure it out? Although I knew before that Ye Chen can regenerate hands and feet, but you can't be so outrageous that you can even regenerate your head, right? However, the fact is that Ye Chen grew a body from the neck again in broad daylight, and it was very fast. You don't need to kill me to silence. I'll do it myself. So you can speak now? Ye Chen said, while twisting his neck. Point he casually put the body that he just chopped off into the system space. Point well, I'll take it to the research institute later. Let's not talk about this first. I want to ask, are you really still human? Bei Junjian walked to Ye Chen's side and rubbed Ye Chen's body with his fingers. And the temperature, it's true that it's alive. Then I'm relieved. Accurately speaking now, I should have God's blessing. After all, immortality is impossible for a human to do. Ye Chen thought about it carefully and replied solemnly, Got Beijunjian finally changed his face and learned from Ye Chen's mouth that his body was immortal. There is no need for Ye Chen to lie to him about this. If he really is immortal, then he has no worries. It is impossible for human beings to think like this without being immortal. That is to say, the extraterritorial god that Ye Chen has been joking about is also real. So, will there really be gods invading Blue Star? Didn't the demigod senior tell you? Ye Chen looked strange. Beijunjian was silent for a moment, then shook his head slightly. Alas, Lord Demigod, he has endured too much. Then, you are still hiding your strength? Ye Chen suddenly shouted. Then, I didn't hide it. Who told you to hide it before? It's not over, is it? Yes. Okay. I'll rush to the front in the future fight. Okay. No, you are the strongest. You should be in the front. Then, you tell me what to do. I don't know for the time being. I owe me a favor. I'll talk about it when I think about it. Beijunjian, I'm really tied to Q. After the battlefield was cleared, it was almost late at night. This time, the large-scale invasion of alien beasts caused heavy casualties among the human race, but the injured were treated by Ye Chen, so it was not a big problem. But there is no way for the dead. After all, the dead cannot be resurrected, except for Ye Chen. But Ye Chen couldn't ask the system to ask for 180 resurrection coins to resurrect them, right? Although they are all proud warriors of the human race, even if there are resurrection coins, they should be considered for use in the Holy Realm. Although this is a bit hurtful, it is the truth and the only way to maximize profit. Although our casualties are a bit serious this time, the Terran has won a crucial victory, and Blue Star will soon return to Terran's rule. The leader, the old Melang's Han. Sitting in a wheelchair, he tapped the blackboard with a small wooden stick in his hand. Off the field were Ye Chen and the others, and the 5 saints were listening carefully to the old man's words. Further down are some semi-sages who have never met, and a person Ye Chen knows. Although he didn't know his name, Ye Chen remembered it very clearly. It was the warrior who lost both hands and bit a long sword against the enemy when he was still fighting the Dappen bird. The life force of the clones was really not strong enough to help him reshape his hands. Later, Ye Chen cut off his 2 arms and put them on him. And this old man is an old god who has never missed his head and was almost written to death by the dog writer N times. Well, this time the first credit is still attributed to Yu Zhaozi, who killed more than a dozen sacred beasts alone. Qian Meng nodded and looked in Ye Chen's direction. This makes Ye Chen a little embarrassed. Isn't he talking about war and suddenly praising me? I won't be proud. Not, indeed. Tang Leo found a strong vitality in this kid's blood and added some life essence to me before. The old magic stick also looked at Ye Chen and said with a smile, if you can live, who wants to die? Oh, I'm a little shy when you talk about me like that. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210, The Insect King hiding in the dark, and the Beast God outside the realm. Ye Chen's words shocked everyone. So you are such a Ye Sheng, and the warrior whose hands were healed looked at Ye Chen with starry eyes, thinking to himself, Ye Sheng is indeed approachable. Simply wonderful. I forgot the name of this fighter. Maybe I didn't set it, but it doesn't matter. When I remember it, I guess I can write him a bit more awesome. If I can't remember it, I'm sorry. Boy, calm down. This is still a meeting. Qian Meng said with a serious face. The old magic stick waved his hand quickly. How did you talk? Be polite to Ye Sheng. Qian Meng. I have not been treated like this in all my life, but, Ye Chen, it is a great blessing for the human race to have you. If it weren't for you, this time the human race, I don't know if I can survive it. The old god stick said with emotion. Ye Chen glanced at Beijunjian with a strange face. Beijunjian widened his eyes, shook his head slightly, and even put his hands on the table to make a begging gesture to Ye Chen. In this scene, although it is very obscure, but everyone is a saint. Ye Chen narrowed his eyes. Bei Junjian was in a hurry and quickly knocked on the table and said, well, next, there is the matter of the army of alien beasts. Let's talk about things first. When everyone heard this sentence, they didn't notice anything wrong. They just nodded. On East Blue's side, there aren't many remnants of that evil dragon, but it's still a force to be reckoned with. The North is not bad. They are some alien beasts who like ice and snow. Without the Snow Queen, there is no threat to us. It's in the West, the lair of dozens of holy beasts. It's not a joke. Follow up to clean up the remaining army of alien beasts. Leave it to me. Ye Chen slapped the table. Crowd. Young people are full of vigor, but I haven't finished speaking yet. The old magician laughed and suddenly became serious again. My precognition dream told me that the strongest holy beast is not dead yet. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Only Bei Junjian and Ye Chen froze for a while, as if they had remembered something. And also, yes, there is another one. I can't see what it looks like, but I know he must be the strongest. Ye Chen sat down with a dignified face. Senior is right. If it is it, maybe everyone here, except me, will die if I fight alone. As soon as these words came out, Bei Junjian's face changed greatly. The crowd is more ordinary. After all, their own and others' strength is far from Ye Chen's, so they can understand. But Bei Junjian knows it well. Ye Chen knows his strength, and he also said that he will not be able to beat him head to head. Ye Chen told what happened after being brought into the void by the Void Insect King. The presence fell into silence, especially when Ye Chen said that the air was withdrawn. His entire lung shrank instantly. That's why Ye Chen's undead body is immune to this move. Otherwise, no one present would be alive. Right, go on. Everyone must wear an oxygen mask and prepare a few more oxygen cylinders. The old magic stick responded instantly. This is no joke. Immediate response is required. Yes, and Bei Junjian is depressed. Why does the Insect King also use destruction? And it can be seen from Ye Chen's description that the opponent's destruction rules are not as powerful as his own sword intent. Why? Same destruction. Why is my destruction stronger? Is it because I'm too strong? Or is it because he really is a nuclear explosion sword intent? At this moment, Bei Junjian had a strong suspicion of his sword intent. So the question is, can the sword of destruction of your own be fully activated? Can it appear from the void of the worm? Is there anything else? If not, we have to implement these things quickly. The old god stick said to everyone with a smile. Today, the holy realm of alien beasts was destroyed, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Naturally, he was very happy. It's not a big problem. I'll just let my clones go with the remnants of the alien beast army. Ye Chen suddenly put his fingers on the table, his face very heavy. There is one more thing that must be made clear to everyone. Seeing Ye Chen's face, everyone frowned. Although Blue Star's alien beasts can be cleaned up, everyone feels relieved. But have you thought about it? How did the alien beasts come from? What is the purpose? We also discussed this issue, but after all, we were understaffed at that time, and we didn't have so much time to analyze. Indeed, before I was trapped in the secret realm, there were not enough people in the human race, not to mention. Although Ye Chen closed his eyes, he could hear his voice clearly. What I said next may seem outrageous to everyone, but there is no way. This is the truth. I don't care whether you believe it or not. It's all up to personal judgment. The awakening of alien beasts is the recovery of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and Xiandao has the right to divide the spiritual energy to whom first. From the mouth of Xiandao, we know that the destruction of nature by human beings is too serious, so most of the spiritual energy is allocated to the first time spirit beast, but it never thought that the so-called spirit beasts have turned into alien beasts, feeding on humans, and destroying the blue star is more serious than humans. When it reacted and turned its aura towards humans, it was already too late, so it used its own the origin of the people, forcibly attaching a rule to the people. It's the so-called talent, and talent is also a kind of rule, and all this is nothing. If the alien beasts are obedient, naturally no one has anything to do with the race until the appearance of the beast god. Although the alien beast has thin blood in the body, it will still be suppressed by the so-called beast god, which is the so-called bloodline suppression. And when someone from Blue Star breaks through the realm of the gods, the beast gods from outside the territory will also invade Blue Star. Ye Chen's words appeared in everyone's ears, and everyone refreshed their views on the world. As for what Ye Chen said is true or false, they didn't think about it at all, because Ye Chen had no reason to lie to them. Ye Chen, where did you know this news? Chai and Ao talked to me before, and these are all what it said. Ye Chen waved his hand, shook his head again, and smiled bitterly. It's also very funny to say, the whole Blue Star is like a game. Such a rule. For example, if the Blue Star has no gods, the gods cannot approach the Blue Star, and when the Blue Star has gods, the gods can invade the demigod. Now, the old god stick interjected in surprise. Ye Chen of course understood what he wanted to say, and immediately explained, I have also been to the demigod senior, and he is also hesitating whether to step into the realm of the gods. If he doesn't step into the realm of gods, he can still live 3 years. Yes, stepping into the realm of the gods, you may die immediately, or you may live longer. He has been thinking about the human race. He didn't make a move during this time, because if he made a move, he would die. Chapter 211 HASHIRAMA and -039 SCL1 Grab tail beasts in ancient times, but GCHEN and -039 SCL. Every word of Ye Chen seems to refresh the 3 views of everyone present. Demigods have been in retreat for so long, yet Ye Chen can still see demigods. As for the matter of heavenly Dao, they have never heard of it at all. Our real enemy has never been an alien beast. The alien beast is just the same as human beings. After the aura of this Blue Star recovered, the alien beasts chose the evolutionary route, while the human race used the form of talent. That illusory beast god is the existence we should be careful about. What worries me more is whether the beast god sect is related to this beast god, and whether this alien beast general attack is also manipulated by someone behind the scenes. Ye Chen's brain was running wildly. The last time he was so smart was the last time. So, Ye Chen, what do you think we should do now? The old god stick's face is very dignified. This is not a joke. A demigod has stunned all the holy beasts of Blue Star. What kind of existence would a real god level be? Everyone dared not imagine that at that moment. They always felt that the Holy Land was just an ant. Ye Chen sat down slowly. There is no countermeasure. The only thing is to improve your strength and strive for everyone to become a demigod. When this sentence appeared, everyone was stunned. Becoming a demigod? How can it be that simple? Ji Kai and Meng smiled bitterly, knowing that Chen Changsheng was the only one in this group of people who became a demigod. The method for Chen Changsheng to become a demigod was to use his own talent. Ye Chen also shrugged. I'm just going to tell everyone about the future. As for the solution, I don't have any. But at least I can let everyone understand when the time comes. Thank you so much. Bei Junjian rolled his eyes and said, hey, don't thank you. I think your nuclear explosion sword intent is quite strong. If you can enter the demigod, maybe you can pass 2 moves with the god realm. Nuclear explosion sword intent? What? Juggernaut still has a whole card. What is the nuclear explosion sword intent? Bei Junjian is going crazy. How about you help me hide it? Oops, I accidentally leaked the word. The Sword Saint clearly promised me to keep it a secret. Sigh. Sword Saint, I'm sorry for you. Ye Chen said teasingly, asking you to thank me. In this case, I will let you thank you thoroughly. Bei Junjian glared at Ye Chen, but didn't say anything. Anyway, to say something ugly, this nuclear explosion sword intent will not be hidden for long, and sooner or later it will be known by everyone. Die sooner or later. Thinking of this, Bei Junjian sighed deeply. I only recently learned about the existence of sword intent. When I realized sword intent, I felt that this power was too terrifying, so I never used it. Ye Chen smiled. The confession was quite fast. But I only recently learned about the existence of sword intent. Of course, Ye Chen didn't expose Bei Junjian's lie. Sword intent. What is it? Ji Kai and Meng muttered to himself. This was the first time he had heard this word. I can't say for sure. My talent is a sword, a weapon talent. The attack method is relatively simple. It was not until I touched the sword intent that I found out. A swordsman, the sword intent is his root. I'm So envious. When will I have sword intent? Yeah, I really want to have fist intent, or something else. Ye Chen and Ji Qian Meng are two performers who never miss an opportunity to act. Point on the other hand, Zhang Bingqing and Zhang Zilei seem a little calm. Okay, in fact, it is these two guys. One is cold and the other is dull. Point as expected of a sibling. Don't ask, you just don't know. Bei Junjian helplessly looked at the curious eyes of everyone. I only discovered about the sword intent, and I have never heard of anyone practicing sword intent with a sword before this. So, I don't know anything either, and it's useless for you to look at me. No, we are not curious about how sword intent came from. We are just curious why Yu Ziozi said your sword intent is called a nuclear explosion. Ji Qian Meng looked at the old magician, and said with a smile, don't listen to his nonsense. My sword intent is to destroy the sword intent. He said that the nuclear explosion is because the power of the sword intent is too great. Bei Junjian glanced at Ye Chen silently. Ye Chen shrugged his shoulders, which means it's none of my business. Would you like to show us a hand? Hearing Ji Qian Meng's words, Bei Junjian didn't have time to refuse. Ye Chen refused and said, don't say goodbye. His use of sword intent is simple. I'm very tired of picking up the mess. What does it have to do with you? Ji Qian Meng said to Ye Chen, yeah. It's quite simple for him to use a move, but he can't control the power of the move. I'm afraid he will destroy Blue Star. Ye Chen covered his face and smiled bitterly. When everyone heard this, they turned their attention to Bei Junjian. Bei Junjian blinked innocently. He can't blame me for this. Mainly I didn't know this move would be so powerful. So, Juggernaut, you have been pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger? Are you afraid that you are too strong and will make us feel inferior? Ji Qian Meng opened his mouth and came. Zhang Bingqing also opened his mouth and looked at Bei Junjian with contempt. Even Ye Chen has some unstoppable moves. How could he not be able to defeat an evil flood dragon? Bei Junjian looked at Ye Chen resentfully. Ye Chen smiled wickedly. That's what he wanted. After a short chat, Ye Chen also set off to clean up the army of alien beasts. As the saying goes, weeds must be eradicated. Although the leader of the alien beast has been lost, the existence of the alien beast is still a threat to the human race. And what Ye Chen has to do now is to kill all the alien beasts with the strength of the upper three realms. In this regard, Ye Chen also made a series of plans, that is to send the clone out to explore the way first. If the clone can't beat it, the main body will go. In ancient times, there was a clone of Hashirama who grabbed tailed beasts, and now there is a clone of Ye Chen who slaughtered alien beasts. However, Ye Chen didn't leave a cultivation issue behind. After all, he was only one step away from entering the demigod realm. At least before the beast god comes, he can step into the demigod realm. Although the system said that it only takes one knife to kill the opponent, you have to cut it yourself. Teleport to cut him. Stop making trouble. In the face of absolute strength, everything is in vain. The stronger the strength, the stronger the perception of danger, the terrifying aura of the residual fire sword. But everyone knows that it is very dangerous, let alone a god. As long as the opponent doesn't want Ye Chen to hit, Ye Chen will never have a chance to hit in his life. After all, the strength is there. Chapter 212. I take you as a big brother, but you. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. Ye Chen's clones have almost cleaned up all the alien beasts of Blue Star. It can be said that the entire Blue Star's upper three realms can be counted with one's fingers, of course. Except for the West Wind Lion King. This guy is now a teacher in Zhanghai City, and Chen Hao was his student before. It's just that Ye Chen found something wrong on the way to clean up the alien beasts. For example, when Ye Chen came to the alien beast's lair, the alien beast had already been killed. After killing so many beasts, only 4.5 billion points, Ye Chen opened the enhancement panel and looked at the accumulated points, speechless. When will it break 10 billion? Will classwood style, strengthening demand, tens of billions of points, enhanced content, control the yin and yang escape. The world becomes a world with a single thought. Hokage world class sage body, a sage of 6 paths body that cannot be strengthened and reaches its peak point. Raijin Jaka enhanced edition, enhanced demand, 1 billion points, enhancement content, Shike state flame with destruction effect power. A Vasto Lord, strengthening demand, 10 billion points, enhanced content, Perfect steel skin, hollow armor covering the upper body, almighty Manjaki, strengthening demand, 10 billion points reinforcement, junior Rinnegan, advanced conqueror's haki, strengthening demand, 10 billion points enhancement, unlock emission. Looking at the content, that can be strengthened. Only Raijin Jaka can be strengthened. No hesitation, just click Raijin Jaka strengthening demand, 10 billion points enhancement content. 1000% increase in temperature in Bankei state. Raijin Jaka is the Zanpakuto of the heat type. And although he also belongs to fire, his real strength is temperature. Ye Chen looked at the next content, that Raijin Jaka strengthened, and his eyes were about to pop out. What is this? 10 times? Is it still invincible? The high temperature of 15 million degrees directly becomes the temperature of 150 million. In this instant of Bankei, Ye Chen was left alive in the whole world. Right, can such a thing really exist? It is really hard to imagine what a 150 million degree heat source would look like on the blue star. Ye Chen shook his head abruptly and stopped thinking about it. After all, 10 billion was still too early. Just spent 1 billion, and now there are 3.5 billion left. 6.5 billion really can only be achieved by killing a god. Ye Chen shook his head, took out the spirit stone in his hand, and started to practice. In the past half month, the system has not given any more powerful skills, but has given them a lot of spirit stones, which are of the kind that can no longer be the best. It can only be said that it is in Ye Chen's mind, and the realm is raised first, and the rest will be discussed later, on the side of the Dragon King of the Black Prison. Many subordinates were also summoned. There are hundreds of heads in the Holy Light Realm, not to mention that he himself is a god realm existence. This power, even if Chen Sheng became a god, he couldn't stop them. At this rate, in about 3 days, I will be able to summon the clone of Lord Beast God. Zuodasi collected souls while slaughtering alien beasts. What made him feel a little tired was that wherever Ye Chen passed, there was no trace of his soul left. Otherwise, the collection would have been full long ago. It's all Ye Chen's fault. Ye Chen's cultivation does not require concentration at all. Anyway, just take out the spirit stone and suck it. If you are idle and bored, you can only find the system for entertainment. Speaking of the system, you said last time that there are many evil gods trapped in the Gate of Rules. Said to be evil gods, but they are actually some gods with weaker rules. What? Do you want to challenge it? It's not impossible, but I'll have to wait until I step into a demigod. Ye Chen said embarrassedly. He just asked out of curiosity. No, I think you can try it now. Anyway, you are immortal. Okay, the encouragement of the system is still useful. Ye Chen was fooled. The Gate of Rules, after the transformation of the system, has become a small tower after all. All the rules it has have been extracted by the system, and the only thing left is a god locked inside. When Ye Chen entered the small tower and looked at the empty space around him, he couldn't help but muttered, I always feel that this scene seems familiar. It was also the same scene when I challenged the King of Crazy Blades in the Gate of Rules. Ye Chen slowly pushed open the door and entered. In the white space, a peculiar person sat cross-legged on the ground. Ye Chen looked at each other carefully, with blue skin, purple hair, and a very strange style of clothing. The next second, the man suddenly opened his eyes. Ye Chen was stunned for a moment, then clutched his neck and said, can you not be so outrageous? Eyes can kill. Although, for Ye Chen who owns Sharingan, he can easily kill with his eyes, but the other party's eyes were obviously different, just full of killing intent. The killing intent is materialized, and one look can kill. That's right, you were the first person I glared at and didn't die. The figure stood up and looked at Ye Chen's clothes. Ah, you are God. Ye Chen said cautiously. Oh, what do you think God is? A powerful person? Facing the other party's question, Ye Chen expressed his thoughts. I'm a little surprised by your answer. So, can I ask you, what are you doing here? The wind was blowing under the man's feet. Ye Chen didn't even react, and instantly appeared beside Ye Chen. Looking at this scene, Ye Chen fell into a brief contemplation. The dog system misunderstood me. How to fight this? I said I was here on vacation. Do you believe it? Do you think I should believe it? I think we can discuss things easily. We are all civilized people. Don't fight and kill at every turn. Ye Chen said righteously. Interesting. Human beings, in this case, stay and talk to me more. I've been stuck here for so long alone, so boring. Ye Chen was pretty good at talking when he saw the other party, so he sat down and chatted with him a lot. It can be said that he has thoroughly explored everything he wants to know about God. This scene made the system see it and called him a good guy. I'll let you in and beat him. How long has it been? Did you even call your big brother? And Ye Chen is also thinking, what about the evil god? This is not a bad god. It is obviously a good god. Ye Chen's thoughts continued until the chat ended happily. I saw the man standing up slowly, looked at Ye Chen and smiled. Okay, now that the chat is over, please help me with one thing. Ye Chen was a little puzzled when he heard the other party's words. Brother, what's the matter? I'm a little hungry. Did you let me eat? Ye Chen, I take you as a big brother, but you want to eat me. FS, I have a fever. The state is not very good. I hope you forgive me. Chapter 213. Amaterasu comes out and shows his face. This matter until a certain day in the future. Ye Chen still doesn't understand it. Why did the elder brother and the younger brother shout vigorously while chatting with a good person in the last second? The next second, the sentence came directly back. Can you do me a favor and let me eat you? I would really appreciate it. Ye Chen couldn't react until Ye Chen's heart was inserted with an arm. When Ye Chen's heart was dug out, the man grabbed the heart and said, how many years do you know how I spent all these years? Speaking of this, he swallowed Ye Chen's heart into his stomach. Wonderful. It would be nice if there were more. I saw him saying still. Ye Chen looked at him and fell into a brief contemplation. Should I break his fantasy? But this thought quickly disappeared from Ye Chen's mind. I saw the man slowly turn around. Brother, it's not the big brother. I have to kill you, but I haven't eaten the heart for too long, and I'm a little greedy. When he finished saying this, he realized that Ye Chen was blinking at him. After speaking, he took out the corpses of many high-level alien beasts from the system backpack. This is from a tiger, this is from a rabbit, this is from a cow. Brother, look at which one you want to eat. The scene was very quiet for a while, and the quiet was a little scary. The man looked towards Ye Chen's chest and saw that the wound on Ye Chen's chest disappeared, and even the blood was no longer visible. You boy, who are you? Me. My name is Ye Chen. I didn't say it before, but it's eldest brother. You are a bit immoral. I still don't know your name. Ye Chen said, while taking out Raijin Jaka. Hearts were dug out from the body of the alien beast. I saw him take out the huge heart and said to the man, brother, look, this tiger's heart is quite big. It's absolutely delicious. You are quite interesting. The eyes of the gods. The man took the tiger's heart from Ye Chen's hand, opened his mouth wide, and swallowed it in one bite. After the spirit eye swallowed the heart of the tiger beast, he continued, can you explain to me, why are you still alive? According to the people I know, the regeneration ability can grow back the moment the heart is dug out, but if it's the brain, oh, brother, are you full? Let's fight when you're full, Ye Chen said with a smile. Oh, you still want to fight with me, Lingayan said disdainfully. In his eyes, Ye Chen is just an existence who is not even a demigod. Why should he fight him? Even if his strength is a low middle existence at the level of the god realm, it is not something he can provoke in a holy realm. Ye Chen held Raijin Jaka in his hand. Big brother, do you want to eat another one? Otherwise, there will be a fight. I'm afraid you won't have time to eat. You don't have to. Killing you is easy for me. Lingayan shook his head and said. Ye Chen smiled slightly and swung the long knife in his hand to dry the blood. Everything is ashes, or la ashes. Raijin Jaka, seeing this scene, Lingayan's eyes were full of surprise. This knife, interesting, but that's not enough. What about adding this? The power of void poured out of his heart, and the smile on Ye Chen's face gradually perverted. A mask climbed up his cheeks, and in just a few seconds, Ye Chen's breath changed twice in a row. The long knife was filled with the aura of fire and destruction, and the mask on his body and the armor-like things that appeared were also full of evil aura. The two breaths exchanged, compared with the original harmless little white face. It was almost one in the sky and the other on the ground. Thinking of this, Ling Yan finally became a little interested in the little bug in front of him. Seeing a flash of white light in his eyes, Ye Chen was slightly taken aback. In an instant, a crack appeared on his neck. The billion level virtual power was instantly broken, and the entire head was almost cut off. Under the surprised expression of Ling Yan, Ye Chen's neck slowly grew back. It really reborn? Then I'll have a good time. Keep you here, and I'll have a heart that can't be eaten in the future. Ye Chen moved the neck that was almost cut off just now. It depends on whether you have the ability. After finishing speaking, Ye Chen put away the sloppy state, and eternal Manjaki Sharingan appeared in his eyes. Ye Chen had some doubts when he heard that the other party claimed to be called Spirit Eye Point. Since it is called Spiritual Eye, it should be related to the Eye Point until the other party proved this to Ye Chen with practical actions. Ye Chen raised dry Jinjaka, pointed the blade directly at the Spiritual Eye, and swung it out. Hot hell. A dull sound sounded, and hundreds of flame pillars poured out from the white ground. When the Spiritual Eye saw this scene, a blue light appeared in the eye socket. A blue shield envelops the Spiritual Eye Point. It has to be said that Ye Chen didn't expect the quick response of Ling Yan. This also confirmed Ye Chen's conjecture that the stronger the strength, the stronger the perception of danger. Although the current Raijinjaka is only in the Shike state, his flame has an aura of destruction attached to it. In terms of damage, there has been a qualitative improvement. Hundreds of pillars of fire that reach the sky are extremely fast, closing towards the Spiritual Eye. Boom. In an instant, flames soared into the sky. A huge flame swept the entire white space. When the flame burst period passed, the Spiritual Eye dissipated the shield. And can also make such a move. Unbelievable. Ling Yan looked at the destruction caused by Ye Chen around, full of shock. It's even more incredible. Today I want to see if your Spiritual Eye is stronger or my Sharingan is stronger. Between the words, Ye Chen used a symbolic move, Amaterasu. After all, the 3 words Sharingan were called out, so it's not enough to say Amaterasu. What kind of move is this? Ling Yan said with great interest, feeling the black flame engulfing his body. He has never been so happy in his life. A little and used one move after another that shocked him. This black flame is very interesting, but it is not as powerful as the flame just now. In the eyes of Ling Yan, a purple light flashed. The black flame that could not be extinguished disappeared instantly without a trace. Ye Chen looked at this scene, and his scalp was numb. The white light slashes at people in the distance. The blue light is a shield. What about the purple light? Devour everything around you, or disperse. Otherwise, there seems to be nothing else to explain. Amaterasu is quite weak, but it is known as a black flame that never goes out. Chapter 214. My evaluation is not as good as the Crazy Blade King. It's really hard to do. Ye Chen shook his head slightly. The body is strong, and there are many moves. Boy, you don't have to feel inferior. After all, you are the most powerful holy realm I have ever seen. Ling Yan looked at Ye Chen and comforted him warmly. I suddenly don't want to fight. Can you let me go? Ye Chen took a deep breath and said helplessly, what do you think? Ling Yan replied playfully, that's fine. Anyway, I didn't think about it, so I had to be forced to kill a god first. God Slayer? What did you say? Are you going to kill me? Ha ha ha. Are you going to kill me? Ye Chen's words made Ling Yan burst into laughter. It was the first time in his life that he heard a holy place threatening to kill a god. That's right. Let's kill the gods first. Ye Chen stepped out. Bankei. Residual fire sword. Ye Chen's aura soared again, and the aura of destruction subsided, and some were just a burst of scorching heat. Huge flames poured out from Ye Chen, and poured in towards the residual fire sword. A wisp of blue smoke floated from the blade. Spirit Eye stared at the long knife in Ye Chen's hand. A flash of greed flashed in his heart. His eyes have the ability to see through all the unknown things below his own strength. And Ye Chen's long sword is naturally seen clearly. It's just a pity that this long knife is connected to Ye Chen's soul and cannot be taken away. Don't blink, the current me. I will kill you very quickly. Ye Chen smiled slightly and put his fingers on his forehead. Ling Yan expressed puzzlement. Does the other party still have a whole card? In the next second, Ling Yan felt a chill behind him. Looking behind him, Ye Chen saw Ye Chen slashed at him with a long knife. The spiritual eye did not hesitate, and a blue light flashed from his eyes. The blue shield instantly bloomed. Ye Chen saw this scene and did not waver at all. For the attack of the residual fire sword, you can only dodge, block, is to die. The moment the residual fire sword touched the blue shield, a burst of flame gushed out from the blade. The terrifying high temperature directly melted the blue shield. How is this possible? Ling Yan said in shock. A trace of panic flashed in his eyes, and golden light flashed again in his eyes. In less than half a breath, the figure of the spirit eye disappeared in front of Ye Chen. Huh. It's pretty fast. Ye Chen stopped and said, looking at the empty floor in front of him, why can your attack break through my shield? Ling Yan escaped the fatal blow, still having some lingering fears in his heart. It's like brushing past death, because Ye Chen put two fingers on his forehead again. The moment Ye Chen said these two words, his figure disappeared again. My residual fire sword. It has the special effect of erasing everything it touches. Ling Yan's whole person was not well, because he clearly felt that Ye Chen's breath appeared behind him again. Ah, you cheating? Ling Yan looked at the residual fire sword on the top of his head that was about to touch him. Gritting his teeth, the purple light appeared again. Ye Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. Didn't he hide? Then you are the first god that Ye Chen killed. The Sharingan in his eyes was running wildly when the purple light of the spiritual eye flashed. Camu activates instantly. The residual fire sword passed through the spirit eye and stayed on the spirit eye. Hey, I thought how strong God is. So that's it. My evaluation is that it is not as good as the crazy Blade King. The spirit eye was pierced through the body by the residual fire sword in an alternative way and was stunned on the spot. The huge high temperature of the residual fire sword poured into the body, and all the ability to move was lost in an instant. At that time, there was only one sentence in Ling Yan's mind. How is it possible? I'm a god after all. And Ye Chen slowly retracted Raijin Jaka into the scabbard and couldn't wait to open the strengthening panel. Killing the spiritual eye of the god realm will earn plus 1.3 billion points. Add the remaining 3.5 billion before, which is 4.8 billion. Killing a god only 1.3 billion. This business is a bit difficult to do. How easy it is to kill the holy realm, with the time to kill the gods. How many holy realms can be killed? I advise you not to float. Do you think that, if it is a real powerful god, it will be trapped by a gate of rules? The system's voice sounded, breaking Ye Chen's self-satisfaction. Tongzi, you said that I can kill gods now. Shouldn't you tell me something about gods? As soon as the system's voice appeared, Ye Chen seemed to have changed. I didn't say it just now. You only killed a very weak god. This spiritual eye, I'm afraid that Beijunjian can easily kill him. Really? I think he's pretty good. Do you think his shield can block the collapse of Beijunjian? Ye Chen thought for a moment. I think it's a little difficult to have 100 million. Would you like another god to practice your hand? You kill another one, and I will definitely tell you. Or you can break through to a demigod. Why don't you tell me to wait until I become a god? Since you have made such a strong request as host, then after you become a god, I will tell you about the god realm. Let's just say, do you have that serious illness in the system? Ye Chen was anxious and blurted out. The system was silent, silently opening a hole under Ye Chen's feet, and a huge pressure directly pressed Ye Chen down. Fuck, don't talk about martial arts. Ye Chen moved from the original space to another space, but it was still a white scene. Looking around, there is no shadow within a few kilometers. Yo, there are people alive. Ye Chen looked around again, but still couldn't see a figure. Who? Where are you? Hey, don't ignore me. Am I in front of you? Ye Chen was stunned. There was clearly nothing in front of him. Below. Down. Look down. Ye Chen heard this and looked down. Fuck. Zhao Qiang. You are Zhao Qiang. Your whole family is Zhao Qiang. That strange creature became angry in an instant. After living for so many years, although it has been recognized as Zhao Qiang many times, it is still not used to it. It's not Zhao Qiang. Then what are you? You're the thing. Lao's name is Water Bear. Eternals, understand, Zing Zing Zing, you are not a thing, you are an immortal family. Coincidentally, I'm an immortal family. Ye Chen looked at the fingernail-sized water bear and cast a curious look. This year, tardigrades can become gods. The cockroach in the second uncle's house next door called him a good guy. I said, big brother tardigrade, are you really an immortal family? Ye Chen said, while pulling Raijin Jacker out. Nonsense, I never tell lies. Then, how about you let me cut a knife? Chapter 215, a mere knife. Iron-039, lines let you cut 180 knives. 1. When the water bear heard Ye Chen's words, he couldn't react immediately. What did you say? I said, God tier, can you let me cut a knife? Ah, you looking down on me? A mere slash? I'll let you slash 180 first. After confirming what Ye Chen said again and again, the water bear said very happily, just kidding. What am I? Water bear, the most tenacious existence in the world. It can survive in absolute zero, and also in high temperature. After becoming a god, the two abilities are infinitely enlarged. Really? God tier, are you sure you want me to cut 100 or 80 knives? Ye Chen was so excited, he had never seen such a good person in his life. Worm. Ye Chen thought of this, suddenly realized something, and said to the water bear, speaking of god tier, you won't regret it, right? Just kidding? I told you to cut 180 knives, then I will let you cut 180 knives. Will I regret it? Water bear worm looked arrogant. God tier, are you really an immortal family? Ye Chen excitedly held Raijin Jacker in his hand, eager to try. That's necessary. If my water bear is not considered immortal, who else in this world deserves it? Then, God tier, aren't you afraid that you will be hacked to death by me? Just kidding? Who are you looking down on? I will be hacked to death. If I will be hacked to death, can it still be called the eternal family? That is to say, is there a possibility that you will die if you are slashed by me? Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. What kind of existence is my water bear? I'll die with one knife. Boy, are you doubting me? The water bear was angry at that time, and there are only two things he hates most in his life. One is treating me like a cockroach. One is to look down on my water bear. Let's just say, God tier, you can't talk nonsense. I'm worried about you. Hearing Ye Chen's words, the water bear was stunned. Eyes wide, mouth open, staring at Ye Chen. Ugh. After so many years, you are the first to worry about me. Ye Chen was stunned. This good guy. Why is this water bear crying? How can I have the heart to attack you like this? God tier, pay attention to your image. Ye Chen said solemnly. The water bear immediately reacted when he heard it and quickly restrained his emotions. HMPH. What happened just now? I advise you to forget about it. Okay, God tier, then can I chop you? Ye Chen said excitedly. Chop it, chop it. It doesn't matter. There are always people who think that my immortal family can be killed. A joke. The water bear worm straightened his back and seemed to be ready to let Ye Chen have a cold heart first. God tier, I still want to confirm again. You really won't be hacked to death by me, right? Ye Chen narrowed his eyes, already seeing billions of points beckoning to him. I saw the water bear worm turned his back to Ye Chen, raised a finger, shook his head and said proudly, of course. There is only one way in this world to kill my water bear. That is, Bankei, the residual fire sword. Ye Chen softly called the name of Kunho Tadeo, and the terrifying high temperature surged out instantly. It's more than 10 million degrees of high temperature. The water bear worm felt the sudden high temperature behind him, and the corners of his eyes twitched slightly. No. This temperature, what the hell? Is this Uncle so unlucky? You ready? God tier, I only have one knife. The moment Ye Chen finished speaking, his figure disappeared in place, and the residual fire knife slashed at the water bear. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The water bear worm looked at the residual fire above his head, and the whole worm was bad. My own family is born without any special ability. That is, the vitality is tenacious in a world where the aura has not recovered. It is possible to survive in a high temperature of 150 degrees, and now, I can swim in the high temperature of 3 or 4 million degrees. However, today he saw something even more outrageous. Someone Yes, there is someone. The long knife in his hand has the temperature of the sun. Just outrageous. Fucking open the door to outrageous. Outrageous home. God tier. You can't hide. You promised to cut me 180 knives. When the water bear heard this, he ran away. I can go to UXXXX. If I knew you were going to hit me with the sun, how could I possibly agree? Ye Chen watched the water bear and ran, although his speed was not very fast. Don't run away. Did you agree to let me cut 100 or 80 knives? Just take what I said before as a fart. The water bear worm yelled at Ye Chen while avoiding Ye Chen's attack. Ye Chen also chased after the water bear worm with a knife. I don't care. I will definitely slash you today. Impossible. It's impossible in this life. The water bear roared. You can't talk without words. You said you wanted me to cut 100 or 80 knives. Put the knife away. I'll consider letting you cut it again. You fart. I put the knife away. What else can I use to cut you? Then change your knife. Impossible. Just use this one. Then I can't let you cut me. Absolutely impossible. Ye Chen was instantly angry. This guy actually regretted it. One knife at a time, he fell at the water bear worms, but they were all dodged by them one by one. Ye Chen was also confused. Please, let me slash. I beg you to put away the knife. You let me cut a knife, and I'll put it away. I'll be gone with one cut. I'll take a fart. That's okay. You let me cut a knife. I won't accept it. Ah. You fucking human. I beg you to be human. The water bear said that he has never suffered such an insult in his life. Coincidentally, Ye Chen thought so too. It was the first time in his life that he was bullied for this reason. Okay, can you let me cut 180 knives? So what are you doing now? Not even a knife. What about God tier? What about your God tier demeanor? Ye Chen was angry. The more he thought about it, the more angry he became. The whole person was like eating dynamite. Thinking of this, Ye Chen was about to start cheating again. Wood style wood clone. Ye Chen yelled, brothers, come out and do something. 20 clones separated from Ye Chen, one for each Raijin Jaka. What the hell? The water bear was so frightened that his legs were weak. What the hell is this? Don't tell me about the knives in their hands. But in the next second, Ye Chen's clones helped him confirm this idea. I saw 20 avatars take a step forward. Bankei. Remnant fire sword. Ye Chen's body also took a step forward. This is forcing you and me. I originally wanted to slash you, but now I don't have 180 knives, so I can't appease my wounded heart. Chapter 216. The 1 minute when the water bear was not around. Wounded heart? It's me who is hurt. The water bear roared while continuing to flee. Why is this person always turning right and wrong? If you say anything, just slash. I just ask, is there anyone who can survive under your knife? If so, please let me know. I want to know if he is tough. The next scene is very spectacular. 20 clones plus a body, killing the water bears without leaving any armor. Ye Chen, well, missed. 21 people. 21 Raijin Jaka, in the space where the temperature has soared to 4 or 5 million. Ye Chen had given up their resistance, and a group of people gathered together and happily started a barbecue life. Come here, sprinkle some cum in here. I have to say that, although the temperature is a little higher, it's just right to bake some sacred animal meat. What? A piece of shit. It's almost cooked. As soon as you take it out, it's just cooked. It won't burn. But he'll do it. You idiot. You call me an idiot, which means that the main body divided me out. The main body is also an idiot, and you are also divided out of the main body, so you are also an idiot. Ye Chen was sitting on the spot, with blue veins on his forehead. These guys, it's getting more and more unruly. It's just too much. However, as the temperature rose, the water bear couldn't hold it anymore. Although this white space looks endless, it is not as big as the blue star after all. As the water in the white space was almost evaporated, the tardigrades also began to panic. Although he can survive in millions of temperatures, but that's just holding on to not die, and he has a very special talent that is hidden life. or should be called suspended animation point, but if you want to get out of the hidden state, you need to have water. All the moisture in this space was evaporated by him. How could he still play? Hey, boy, we have something to discuss. How about you put away your knife first? I want 1 billion points. Can you give it to me? Water Bear? What the heck? What is 1 billion points? Water Bear was panicked at the time, and he had never heard such a thing in his life. A person in the realm of the gods. Beast. Anyway, even if it is alive, it counts as 1 billion points. I understand what you mean. Isn't it the realm of the gods? You let me go. I'll take you to find my enemies. Their entire race is in the realm of gods, and you can make tens of billions of dollars with one knife. That kind. Ye Chen, who was taking a bite of the barbecue, stood up abruptly. Is this true? Seriously? You let me go? Look at such a cute water bear. I don't eat meat. It's hard to grow up to what it is now. Wait, I believe you don't eat meat, but how cute are you? It's almost like a big cockroach. Not a cockroach. The water bear growled. Okay, then tell me, who is your enemy? Ye Chen was too lazy to worry about this matter, and now he just wanted to know who the enemy the water bear said was. Yes, spiders. My natural enemy. If it wasn't for these spiders chasing me and running for several planets, I would not have been taken to this inexplicable space. Well, water bears have appeared. Spiders are reasonable. But, have you ever thought, where are the spiders when you appear here? Ye Chen touched his chin. Slowly open your mouth. Point. The water bear was stunned. Oh yes, he appeared here. Point. Those spiders must be. Reminder, my dear host, the spider he said, is called white-fronted emperor spider. Now it is the existence of the peak of the gods. Ye Chen was down on the spot. What the hell? Chen Shangsheng hadn't even stepped into the divine realm. One water bear worm is enough, and there is another white-fronted emperor spider at the peak of the god realm. Ye Chen sighed deeply, looked at the water bear and shook his head. Forget it, you're still dead here. The water bear was about to cry, but this time he had no choice. Ye Chen was determined to kill him. No surprise. Point. It wasn't until half an hour later that the entire space reached a high temperature of 10 million degrees, and Ye Chen disbanded the clones carrying the residual fire sword. He silently walked to the water bear worm, who had already shrunk into a ball, and entered a hidden state. Alas, I don't want to kill you either, but I need points urgently now. The residual fire knife pierced into the tardigrade's body, and the tardigrade's entire body instantly turned into charred black, and turned into dust and ashes. Ye Chen was suddenly unhappy. This guy looks ugly, but he's also very honest and interesting. But I'm sorry, I can't stop killing you because of this. Kill the tardigrades in the realm of the gods, and the points will be plus 1.7 billion. After briefly commemorating the passing of the water bear, Ye Chen left this floor. Alas, the first minute the water bear was away, I missed him. Water bear? You have no arsehole when you have a baby. The other side. Point. The void insect king silently hid in the void while Ye Chen was sweeping away the monsters. Compared with Ye Chen's sweeping killing of high level alien beasts, Zuodasi's slaughter was even more excessive. Point. So the void insect king also found Zuodasi. Of course, it was not the first time the two met. Point. It was Zuodasi who had previously conveyed the news of the demigod retreat. The surname Zuo, why did you wantonly slaughter my alien beast family? Insect king? You are not dead. Zuodasi was shocked by the appearance of the void insect king. Point. When the void insect king heard this, his face was full of disdain. Do you think I'm the same as those stupid things? But despite what he said, Ye Chen's face appeared unconsciously, and he shuddered immediately. You haven't answered my question yet. The void insect king shook his head violently, dispelling the thought, and said again to Zuodasi, what if I didn't tell you? The void insect king glanced at Zuodasi contemptuously, and almost didn't laugh out loud. Point. However, in order to maintain his high cold image, he forcibly held on. You can try. Hearing this sentence, Zuodasi quickly raised his hands. You won. Although he is also a saint, he is also clear about how huge the gap between saints is especially the existence of the Void Insect King. The method is very strange. To fight against him, I'm afraid that even if I die, I don't know how to die. Seeing that Zuodasi suddenly spoke so well, the Void Insect King was a little surprised, but he didn't take it seriously. After all, so far, he has only encountered Ye Chen, who almost burst his void space. Therefore, even if Trodded has a conspiracy, it is impossible to pose any threat to himself. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 279-039, I'm just a sad person. If I said that the beast god worshipped by the beast god religion is the same as the beast god worshipped by your alien beasts, what would you think? Zuoda smiled wickedly and looked at the Void Insect King with playful eyes. Offering? Beast god. The Void Insect King murmured, you are wrong about one thing. I didn't worship the beast god, just a mere god realm. Give me another 100 years, and I can step into the god realm. You say yes. Zuodasi obviously didn't believe what he said. But the Void Insect King knew in his heart that this was true. During this period of lurking, he lurked to a strange place. A layer of membrane blocks the real sight of this world, and outside the membrane is a world that has never been seen before. The aura outside the film is almost 100 times more intense than that of Blue Star. In such an environment, is it impossible to step into the divine realm? How rubbish must that be? So during this time, he has been looking for a way to break the film, but unfortunately, there has been no eyebrows. Then met Zuodasi. Then, tell me, what does everything you do have to do with the beast god? Zuodasi smiled slightly. Collect souls, let the beast god clone come to Blue Star, and force Chen Changsheng to step into the realm of the gods. The Void Insect King didn't understand Zuodasi's idea at all, and even wanted to give him a big Kabuto son. So, Chen Changsheng has become a god, and you are happy. Is there something wrong with you? The high cold image is completely unprotected. Hearing what the Void Insect King said, Zuodasi didn't take it seriously. After all, the Void Insect King didn't know what to do to break the restrictions of this world. I saw him mysteriously say, when the first god appears on Blue Star, Blue Star's restrictions will also be opened. Restriction? Open? The Void Insect King was stunned for a moment. He seemed to understand a little, and then hurriedly asked, so how many souls are you missing? At that time, Zuodasi's mind was blank. Is this guy so talkative? It's enough to have hundreds of thousands of souls of such low-level alien beasts. Before Zuodasi finished speaking, Void Wormachoku interjected, is a strange beast at the peak of the holy realm enough? Enough is enough, but aren't you the only alien beast at the peak of the holy realm? Zuodasi was speechless. He didn't believe that this guy would commit suicide. No, there is one more. Void Insect King grinned badly. At this time, deep in the Blue Star, in the Earth Fire Cave, Killin with golden light all over his body is bathing. Although he is of gold type, he is not afraid of fire. This is also a bit unscientific. Does it really correspond to that sentence? Real gold is not afraid of fire. TSK. Fortunately, my uncle didn't go to the battle, otherwise I would have to go to Huangquan with those stupid people. When he thought that all the holy beasts who were on an equal footing with him were dead, Jin Killin couldn't stop laughing. I have long been disgusted by that titan crazy bull, and finally, he was slaughtered. Very happy. Jin Killin was dancing while laughing, and suddenly, he sneezed inexplicably. Strange. I still sneeze. This time, Ye Chen took the initiative to step into a new space and was no longer forced by the system. There is one thing to say, the first chapter, where the water bear is not there, I miss him. But even though it was a new space Ye Chen took the initiative to step into, there was not a single living person in the space. Of course, this is the work of the system. Come on, I said it before, I'll tell you about the god realm, if I kill another one. This is definitely not my time to fill the hole. Absolutely not. Forget it. Let's just say, don't bother the system, you busy man. Are you sure you don't listen? The air was quiet. Stop. I was just joking. Lips. Used to. System. Tired. Destroy it. The system complained angrily. Ye Chen mentioned Raijin Jaka without a word. Just stabbed himself in the neck. And the system was speechless at that time. Raijin Jaka, do you know what I've chopped up the most in my life? It's not a knife. It's not an enemy. It's Ye Chen. Blue star belongs to a planet that has completed the evolutionary conditions, so he has been promoted, and there will be signs of spiritual energy recovery when the first god level creature appears on this planet. He will leave a mortal star and become a yellow level planet. This is what Blue Star is currently experiencing. When the promotion of the planet is completed, the Deo of Heaven will benefit a lot, and the planet will expand hundreds of times. But there is also a kind of existence in this world, called the Deo of Heaven Predator. The way of heaven is the rule, and controlling the rules is the realm of the gods. After the realm of the gods, it is difficult to move an inch. If you want to become stronger, you have to control more rules, and the best way is to directly control the heaven. But most of the planets, where the gods are located, the power of heaven has been determined. Even if it is not strong enough, there is a master, so they will set their sights on the planet that is being promoted, and the planet that has been plundered by the heaven will be transformed into the universe. The dust disappeared. Ye Chen was a little stunned. In fact, Cheyenne Deo had told him before, but there was no systematic explanation. Ye Chen asked inexplicably, so, God is actually the one who controls the rules. Do you think God is so weak? Weak enough to be killed by you? The system asked back, isn't that because of the instant kill mechanism possessed by Kanhu Otachi? Where did the prototype of the residual fire sword come from? Who gave the rules? After a few words, Ye Chen closed himself. The 4 planets of the heaven and earth, the black and yellow, the rules. It's just something for the weak. The real strong can kill everything in the world with one sword. Ye Chen was refreshed again, staring at Raijin Jaka at his waist, not knowing what to say. The first stage of stepping into the realm of the gods is called the realm of the soul. At this stage, the soul is released, and the soul can remain immortal, even if the body dies. The second stage, called the divine body realm, moves the body towards immortality. Then there are the realm of gods and kings. Although they are still named after gods, they are still stronger humans in essence. When you step into the realm of gods, you have the qualifications to fight against the heavens. Ye Chen listened to all this and felt very uncomfortable. He asked the system the words that had troubled him for a long time. System, what kind of existence are you? I'm just a sad person. Ye Chen was silent. With such a vague answer, he obviously didn't want to reply directly. But enough. He said he missed one thing. He was just a sad person. Chapter 218. I said, I won. 039. Kill him anymore. If the system doesn't say it, Ye Chen won't ask. But Ye Chen is also a person who came to this world inexplicably. A road to the end seems to be arranged. Yes, although after coming into this world, life is better than before. Don't worry about food and clothing, and don't be confused about the future. This world also gave him some warmth that the world had never had before. Ye Chen still liked it very much. But my heart is not always good. It's like being kept in the dark, constantly moving forward, like a marionette. At the beginning, the happiness of becoming stronger filled Ye Chen's heart. This peculiar feeling made Ye Chen feel very satisfied and secure. But now, it's different. It's not that I'm tired of it, it's just that I feel like a chess piece, which is kind of ridiculous. The more Ye Chen acted indifferent, the more guilty the system felt. But there was no way. This is their destiny. They must become stronger. Stronger than everyone else. World number 1. It's not enough. You have to be the one that suppresses the heavens, the system said unexpectedly. Do you regret it? Ye Chen was stunned, not knowing how to answer for a long time. The system didn't rush for his answer, just waited silently. Suddenly Ye Chen raised his head suddenly. His eyes were a little tangled, but his tone was very firm. I do not regret. The tangled thing is that your dog system is always hiding everything from me. What is firm is that instead of enjoying loneliness in that world alone, it is better to enjoy all beings looking up with vigor and vigor. Isn't that God? even if it is the king of gods. Ye Chen, are not afraid. No. The system also replied firmly. Just, no. Ye Chen blurted out. Wait. What the hell? You know shit. The system no longer replied to Ye Chen's words, and just slipped away. Of course I know. You will never regret it. Ye Chen is very depressed. This system is getting more and more mysterious. It doesn't matter. There are still 3.5 billion points left, and I can strengthen it. The road to becoming a god is still very long. Work hard first, and then kill a god. Blue Star Protozoa country ruins at an altitude of 10,000 meters. This small projectile was the size of a slap. Zuodasi and the Void Insect King looked at this dilapidated land. Zuodasi couldn't help but asked, Insect King, are you sure that guy is here? Don't worry, based on what I know about that stupid dog, it's definitely here. The Void Insect King looked confident. The country that used to be full of sakura flowers is now full of lava. The entire island was tightly wrapped in magma, and I didn't know what the dog was thinking, but he liked this harsh environment. Although other sacred beasts are equally powerful, the places where they live are basically beautiful, or they are majestic. Where only this dog lives, it's like hell. The Bug King, will I do it later? Or Zuodasi made a gesture of slitting his throat. The Void Insect King glanced at him with disgust on his face. You just need to hide. It only takes a moment to kill him. Zuodasi heard the Void Insect King talking like this, but didn't say much, smiled wisely, and hid in the darkness the ability of the dark element. Sure enough, it's still easy to use. Where there is light, there will be darkness. The Void Insect King thought of this, and pointed his finger lightly forward. The purple black void hole opened directly, and the Void Insect King stepped in, followed by a black shadow behind him. Scrub, wash, and spit it out for me. Well, to be honest, those guys are dead, and I'm still quite alone. Jin Killen raised his head, and sighed while soaking in the magma. Golden dog, you are quite elegant. The Void Insect King instantly appeared in front of Jin Killen. Jin Killen's eyes widened instantly. You're not dead. Why should I die? The Void Insect King said with a smile. When Jin Killen saw the Void Insect King, he didn't seem to have any hostility, and he didn't take it seriously. After all, if this guy wanted to kill, the Titan Crazy Ball couldn't stop him. If you want to kill yourself, you shouldn't have to talk nonsense to yourself. So, it's not a big problem. That's not true. I'm just a little surprised. But think about it. You are the strongest among us. You won't die if anyone dies. Jin Killen stretched his waist lazily. You guy even compliment me. The Void Insect King was a little shocked. They're all dead. Those bickering people. You're the only one left. There's nothing left to fight. Jin Killen glanced at the Void Insect King. And I'm telling the truth. Hahaha, if I can fulfill one of your wishes, what do you want to do? The Void Insect King laughed, and suddenly changed the subject. Wish? Your Worm King will be so kind? Jin Killen looked at the Void Worm King, and said angrily. As soon as these words came out, there was an instant silence in the air. After a moment of silence, the Insect King still didn't say anything. Jin Killen suddenly dived into the magma, and Zuodasi, who was hiding in the dark, frowned slightly and was about to start. But a purple black void chain that appeared in front of him firmly fixed him. After a few breaths, Jin Killen stuck his head out of the magma and threw an egg to the Void Insect King. The Void Insect King caught the egg and was a little silent. I know your intention. I can't hide anyway. Jin Killen said with a wry smile. I'm dead, and my son shouldn't be too well, so please help me take care of him. The Void Insect King was stunned and took a few deep breaths. He threw the egg back to Jin Killen. I regret it. Take care of your son yourself. Dropping a word, the Void Worm Dynasty flew towards the hole. And Zuodasi, who was hiding in the dark, saw that the Void Insect King had let Jin Killen go, and a surge of anger rushed to his forehead. The soul that has got it all. If you say no, you don't want it, how can there be such a good thing? The Insect King doesn't kill you, then let me come. The dark aura suddenly soared, and the entire space seemed to be plunged into an endless abyss. Extremely dark. Just as Zuodasi was about to start, dozens of purple black void chains pierced through the darkness and directly locked Zuodasi's body. I said, I won't kill him. You can't either. The killing intent in the Void Insect King's tone rushed towards Zuodashi, as if it were materialized. But don't kill him. When will the beast god come? You have to know that the alien beast has been almost killed by me now. Zuodashi ignored this killing intent and roared at the Void Insect King. Then slaughter humans. Trod it. Roared. Are you crazy? Chapter 219 Seijutsu Billion Hands. I'm crazy or not, I know. The Void Worm Dynasty glanced at Zuodashi, and the Void Chain was released. Give me the container for collecting souls, and I will go to the human race. Zuodashi was full of hesitation. Although he was reluctant, he could only give the soul bottle to the Void Insect King. A void hole appeared in front of the Void Insect King, walked towards the hole, turned back and said, if he dies, don't live. When Zuodashi heard the words of the Void Insect King, the whole person was very unhappy. Hey, and Jin Killen was still in a dazed state. In just a few minutes, in the end what happened? Zuodashi glared at Jin Killen with a displeased face, and then hid in the darkness again, and disappeared. Leaving Jin Killen to doubt life in place. Ye Chen is still in the small tower at the moment. It should be the 3rd floor now. I still don't know anything about the outside world. Standing in front of Ye Chen was exactly his goal this time, with long hair flowing in flames, and his body was also full of flames. I saw him bow politely and politely said to Ye Chen, under Vulcan, please advise. Seeing this scene, Ye Chen quickly bowed as a gift. It's a coincidence. I'm also a fire god. Please give me more advice. Hearing Ye Chen's words, the other party was stunned and looked at Ye Chen carefully. You are also a fire god. Then why don't you have fire on you? Do you have to have fire on your body to be considered a fire god? Ye Chen said inexplicably. I saw Vulcan pointed at Ye Chen and said, after all, there is no flame on this guy. But you don't have fire on your body. How can you be considered a fire god? Ye Chen listened to this sentence and thought for a while, as if nothing was wrong. Then Ye Chen put his hands together. If that's the case, then I won't lie to you anymore. Actually, I'm a wood god, and they all call me King D. A lot of vitality bloomed behind Ye Chen, and a touch of green climbed above Ye Chen's head. I'm so ruthless that even myself are green. Just ask if you are afraid. Wood god, King D. You must be very strong. I hope you can kill me, so that I can atone for my mistakes. When Vulcan heard Ye Chen's words, he was a little excited, but immediately lowered his head again. Because the word of the wood god is of the wood type, and if you want to kill yourself, I'm afraid it will be a little difficult. As you wish, I'm here to kill you today. Ye Chen put his hands together, his face was solemn, and he shouted loudly, wood style. Greenwood is entwined. Vulcan saw Ye Chen's actions, and the defensive formation was too tight. Suddenly I saw several green wooden strips flying towards me. My mind went blank. What is he doing? Humiliate me? Or is he just that strong? Is King D what he calls himself? Or am I too strong? If I want to die, should I stand still and let him fight? Seriously, can he really kill me? A series of question marks appeared in my mind. I thought I could have a good fight and then die. Don't talk about dying now. It's hard to fight. Vulcan suddenly put away his posture and said to Ye Chen, forget it. Let's go. You can't beat me. Ye Chen was a little unhappy when he heard this. If you insist on saying that, I really have to try the wood type today to see if the fire type can be used. Don't say it too early. If you can beat it, you won't know until you beat it. The Vulcan had already given up, but suddenly saw that Aoka's speed suddenly increased. The original vine-like existence instantly turned into several thorns, stabbing towards Vulcan. The speed surpassed the speed of sound, and instantly penetrated the body of Vulcan. Although the move was successful, Ye Chen was not happy at all. Instead he frowned. The move just now didn't seem to go through his body, but it seemed to go through his body. Seeing this scene, Vulcan looked disappointed, shook his head and said, it's useless. If it's such an attack, it won't hit me. Shoo-boom. Before Vulcan finished speaking, another wooden thorn stabbed towards him. This time, Vulcan was hit. That huge attack instantly knocked Vulcan out. Although the moves used are not strong, speed is power. Vulcan was stunned by this move. What happened? Didn't you just miss me? Ye Chen looked at Vulcan with a strange expression, but he hesitated. Although this move knocked Vulcan out, it did no harm to Vulcan. Boom. As Vulcan adjusted his body in the air, he landed steadily. He hurriedly asked, "Can you tell me how you hit me?" Ye Chen also said very curiously, "Then can you answer me first? Have you ever eaten a spiral flame fruit?" "What? Flame fruit? What is that?" "Treasures of heaven and earth." The god of fire was confused when he heard Ye Chen's words. Ye Chen breathed a sigh of relief. "It seems that you haven't eaten it. Then I'm relieved." Armament. Haki was entangled in Ye Chen's attack just now. I was just curious and wanted to try it out, but it turned out it really works. "It seems that you have the ability to kill me, but if you only rely on your wood, I'm afraid there is no hope." Vulcan clenched his fist and moved his body. The battle he longs for starts now. Before Ye Chen could speak, two flames burst out from Vulcan's feet. The whole person flew towards the sky like a rocket in an instant, swooped down, and the flames erupted again under his feet. Flame. Dive. Vulcan flew towards Ye Chen like a shooting star, and the speed exceeded the speed of sound. In just a few seconds, he came to Ye Chen. Ye Chen didn't panic at all and crossed his hands to block his attack. "You just forcibly block my attack. You are not afraid of your hands." Before Vulcan finished speaking, he was attracted by the black substance wrapped around Ye Chen's hands. "So it is just because of this, so I can fight. Is it mine?" "Ignore the elementalization. I have a question. Can all elemental gods be elementalized?" Ye Chen asked expectantly. Vulcan and Ye Chen were separated by dozens of meters, and then responded, "In my impression, not all elemental gods can be elementalized." "Well, that's good. Otherwise I thought I was wearing a pirate in the air." Ye Chen breathed a sigh of relief. After all, he had been here for so long. "Next, I'm going to get real. Are you mentally prepared?" Ye Chen raised a smile on the corner of his mouth. The god of fire looked at Ye Chen's smile and suddenly felt a chill behind him. I saw Ye Chen put his hands together and looked directly at Vulcan. "Although, I also want you to die a little easier so that you won't be beaten so much." "But, who told me to use the wood system just now?" "Sage. Arch in so million hands." Chapter 220. Can your flame become a god? As Ye Chen's words came out, the Vulcan was also shocked. The green trees growing from the ground were instantly intertwined, forming a huge Buddha head. With the appearance of the Buddha's head, the huge body quickly condensed. Behind the Buddha, countless arms bloomed, densely packed and terrifying. Hundreds of millions of arms are about to move behind the Buddha. The Vulcan was dumbfounded. "What is this?" If Hashirama saw this big Buddha, I'm afraid not to say, Motherfucker is really a genius. Ye Chen put his hands together. "Brother Vulcan, are you mentally prepared? Let's go." Vulcan was interested when he saw the behemoth in front of him. Ye Chen was still a little uneasy, and he didn't know if hundreds of millions of arms could all be wrapped in armed colors, but armament Haki eats physical strength and stamina, so it shouldn't be a problem. Thinking of this, Ye Chen was too lazy to think about it. Can this thing try to know? True. Several thousand hands turn into a Buddha on the top. Ye Chen thought about it again and again, but it would be better to call true several thousand hands. Shinsu's hand still belongs to the skin. In fact, the operation of the operation has not changed. It is to make the arm behind the Buddha smaller and more. There's the Sasado Buddha in front. There's a big Buddha around Haki in the back. When the wooden golem appeared at the feet of Ye Chen, the countless dense arms behind the nearly 40,000 meter Buddha were covered with black substances. Go. Following Ye Chen's order, countless arms adjusted their direction and aimed at Vulcan. Vulcan's brows furrowed and his heart suddenly panicked. Although facing this scene, I have already had a little guess, but after I really saw it, I found that it was even more outrageous than I guessed. Seeing this, Vulcan, his feet spewed out flames like rockets again and flew towards the sky. The countless arms behind him flew towards him densely, and the speed was extremely fast. Ye Chen looked at his masterpiece with pride in his heart. Originally, the slap of true several thousand hands was very large. As true several thousand hands grew from 3,000 meters to 30,000 meters, the size of the body became larger, and the palm also became larger. Although the palm is still very flexible, it is definitely lacking in terms of speed point. Now that the arms are smaller, the speed advantage of true several thousand hands is reflected again. Vulcan has mentioned. Speed to ultimate, but still can't shake those arms. I saw two flames pouring out of his hands, and his hands merge the two flames with each other. Huh, you can even do this trick? Ye Chen said in astonishment. He has wanted to try this trick for a long time, but there is no copyright fee. Although Vulcan heard Ye Chen's words, he didn't react. Instead, he threw the flame in his hand towards the arm behind him, and shouted in a low voice, "Firework fusion." The two flames were compressed into glass bead-sized existences. After losing the spiritual control of Vulcan. The glass beads exploded instantly. Boom. A huge explosive force erupted, and countless heat flows came on coming. Vulcan is a little proud. Under such a move, wood type, the hair that must have been burnt is not left. But his smile only lasted for 0.018 seconds. As to why he persisted for this time. Because the slap of true several thousand hands had already slapped him on the body. Although true several thousand hands' arms have become much smaller, they are still several meters in size. Before Vulcan had time to react, he was slapped with a slap. How is it possible? The wooden system can stop my flames? Vulcan roared as he flew out backwards. This scene simply refreshed his three views, and he had never seen it in his life. And Ye Chen said slowly, "Why is it impossible?" "Hey, my assessment is that it's not as good as Beijunjian." When Ye Chen said that he was inferior to anyone, Vulcan's face turned green. A violent flame emanated from his body and instantly stopped. "Who is Beijunjian? Which god? I'm not as good as him." "Huh? Are you actually interested in this? He is just a saint." "A saint? Would I be inferior to him?" Joke. Vulcan laughed instead, thinking that Ye Chen was just trying to attack his fighting spirit. "Forget it if you don't believe me. I didn't force you to believe it." Ye Chen waved his hands helplessly and said, then fixed his eyes on Vulcan, "But it doesn't matter to you. After all, you have to die soon already. Heh, do you think you can beat me by hitting me by chance?" Ye Chen watched Vulcan dodge the attack of true several thousand hands with ease, and said thoughtfully, "Well, at present, it is true that you can't beat you, but you can't kill me either. Then wait for your physical strength. It's almost consumed. Isn't that your death date?" After Ye Chen said abusively, he transformed into a throne on the top of wooden golem's head. He lay down on it leisurely, and even yawned. Hashirama called out the good guy. "I didn't care so much when I fought with Madara." "Ah, you humiliating me?" Vulcan's face was hot. Just like what Ye Chen said, if his own attack can't destroy this strange wood, then he really has to attack him. But since the defense is so strong, it must not be able to easily touch the opponent. Vulcan has considered these problems and is trying to solve them. But Ye Chen suddenly came to the throne, preparing for a nap in the middle of the battle. "Isn't this a bit inappropriate? Who can bear this? To be you, can you?" A smile. "Wait, if he doesn't kill me, I think I can bear it." Although the Vulcan has been reformed for a long time, but, after all, it is the existence of the fire element, and this violent temper is designated to be unbearable. I saw the aura on his body skyrocketing violently, and the temperature around him skyrocketed. All along, I have restrained myself and prevented myself from using my real power. This is what you asked for originally. I just wanted to have a good discussion with you. If that's the case, I'll have to kill you." The fierce flames gushing out of Vulcan rose up. The Vulcan, who was originally 1.78 meters tall, changed his body shape, and the image of human beings no longer existed. In front of Ye Chen is a god full of flames, as if the whole body is made up of flames. Ye Chen watched it with relish, and the script was changed again. No, it's not an exchange. It's not that a flame becomes a god, and it's not unacceptable. So, from the beginning, you are not human. You are a flame cultivated into a god, right?" Ye Chen looked at Vulcan and said with a smile. His eyes were full of confidence. And Vulcan was stunned by Ye Chen's sudden words. "Brother, I want to kill you. Can you be more serious?" Then he said something that made Ye Chen extremely ashamed. "Can your fire become a god?" Laozi is in a state of explosion. Laozi is a human. Chapter 221 Despair enveloped the white battle. The Void Insect King. It's really messed up. The Dark element was activated to ultimate, and Trodyssey still failed to find the trace of the Void Insect King. I knew that I should have followed directly, but this is fine. If the Void Insect King is slaughtered later, I will be able to take the Void Insect King's soul. The smile on Zuodasi's face bloomed like a chrysanthemum, as if he had seen success in sight. So his best way now is to wait for the battle report of the Void Insect King. As for the results of the battle report, it doesn't matter anymore. After the Void Insect King came out of a certain insect island, he flew all the way towards Daksha. It needs the souls of thousands of ordinary beasts, which means that it should also need the same human beings. Then it's going to be massacred. It's hard to do. What if I encounter that lunatic? The Void Insect King was still a little flustered, and Ye Chen's performance had already scared him. But since the cow has just been blown out, it's not enough. If you don't go along the way, the Void Insect King will always have only one word in his heart, as long as it's not that guy. I'm not afraid of the rest. As the words fell, the Void Insect King also came to the sky above a city. And this city is Zhanghe City. This guy, the Void Insect King, didn't know how to do it. He flew and flew, inexplicably came to such a place. At this moment, Zhanghe City is still undergoing urban reconstruction. After all, many things were destroyed by alien beasts in the abandoned city before. Although it has been rebuilt for half a month, most of it is still unbuilt. It's not that the speed is too slow, but the whole summer, all the cities are being rebuilt. The manpower is really hard to divide. The Void Insect King stood above the sky of Zhanghe City, looking at the busy figures in Zhanghe City. I can't help but snort coldly, an ant-like existence, and his appearance made many people feel the breath. Bazin and others have already noticed. Zhang Daosheng and the West Wind Lion King also looked up at the sky for the first time. At this moment, Zhang Daosheng and Bazin are already experts in the Haoi realm. After all, they ate so much holy beast meat. Although they couldn't eat much with their strength, they had a lot of stock. Lion King, you are the fastest. You take the teacher and leave. Bazin looked at the figure above the sky with a gloomy face. Zhang Daosheng glanced at Bazin. I'm not that old yet. It's not time for you to stand in front of me. The West Wind Lion King looked at the old and the young in front of him with helplessness on his face. The two of you don't have to fight. The guy in front of you, if I guessed correctly, he is the strongest left of the holy beasts. None of us can escape. Hearing the words of the West Wind Lion King, Zhang Daosheng and Bazin's expressions changed greatly. If it's really him, I'm afraid none of them can escape today. Zhang Daosheng and a strange beast looked at each other. Flying in the direction of the Void Insect King. Of course, they are just to delay the time. If the emergency is reported, we have to wait until Jikayan Meng comes with support. Master Chen Heo hid in the corner, watching them fly towards the enemy without hesitation, a little flustered and helpless. He's just a kid after all, and the Void Insect King also obviously saw the three people flying towards him. Interesting to be able to detect my arrival so early. The Void Insect King felt the strength of the three. They were all in the bright moon realm. I saw him focus his eyes on the West Wind Lion King, and he couldn't help but sneer at the corners of his mouth. As a strange beast, do you go to the human race? Before the words fell, the killing intent of the Void Insect King rushed to the West Wind Lion King like a tide. The three people who were still flying in the last second, the strongest Zifan Lion King, were instantly killed. Directly exited the half-orc form, transformed into a beast, and fell to the ground. The Lion King, Bei, Zan and Zhang Daosheng looked at this scene, and were a little helpless. Master Chen Heo could see clearly. No matter what, he strode forward in the direction of the Lion King. What do you mean by this, Your Excellency? Your clan has already been defeated, and you still dare to attack? Zhang Daosheng scolded angrily. But the Void Insect King ignored his words and set his sights on Bazin. This guy, familiar? Forget it. It doesn't matter. You trying to stop me? The Void Insect King raised his arm, stretched out his index finger, and a purple-black energy emerged in his hand. Although the energy in his hand was not large, it contained a terrifying aura. A look of worry flashed across Zhang Daosheng and Bazin's faces. This kind of energy could easily kill them. Time was silent for a few seconds, and the Void Insect King couldn't bear it any longer. If you don't speak, then please die. The purple black energy in his hand flew towards the two of them. Zhang Daosheng's face changed greatly, and his hands hurriedly cast spells forward. 9 layers of ice. Come on, this can't hold up. Zhang Daosheng shouted angrily at Bazin. But Bazin is also a tough guy. How can he run? At least he has to pull his teacher to run together. When the purple black void energy touched the ice, Bazin also caught Zhang Daosheng, and the two quickly fled. Boom. The sound of the 9 layers of ice shattering is extremely clear. I saw that the purple black void energy swallowed Zhang Daosheng's entire 9-layer ice realm, then stopped moving and exploded on the spot. Boom. Like fireworks. The purple fireworks over Zhanghe City are extraordinarily beautiful. After the explosion, Zhang Daosheng and Bazin also fell from the air. Although the explosion range was not very close to them, they still suffered a lot of injuries, and the Void Insect King looked at the two people below, a taunting flash across his mouth. Bazin lay on the ground panting heavily, feeling Zhang Daosheng's breath. Weak, but not dead. Damn it, before the sword is drawn, you lose. Bay Zan stood up staggeringly, and the sky sword appeared in his hand. The moment he stood up, the huge pain almost made him kneel down again. Good perseverance. Please, go to hell with this city. The Void Insect King made a rare boast, and then stretched out his right hand again. This time, it's no longer a small piece of void energy. From the palm of his hand, a purple black super energy instantly appeared. Bazan, who had gotten up originally, was instantly filled with despair on his face. That thing almost killed me just now. This one. At this moment, Bazan understood. This guy's goal was very clear from the start. He wants to slaughter the city. Chapter 222 Rare Encounters Between Father and Son. Climbing up with difficulty, Bazan has used up most of his strength. It's only been 2 minutes since I pressed the emergency button I carried with me. When the reinforcement arrive, Zhanghe City should no longer exist, right? The sky sword in Bazan's hand squeaked slightly. Facing such a powerful enemy, the sky sword did not choose to give in. Looking at the high fighting spirit of Chang Kang in his hand, Bazan also said helplessly, I'm going to die. I really have to at least die standing up. Between the words, Bazan raised his long sword and swung it towards the Void Insect King. The sword breaks the sky. As the long sky sword swung out, a few hundred meters of sword energy flew straight towards the Void Insect King. While accumulating power, the Void Insect King, who was watching Bazan's dying struggle, watched Bazan's full blow, and the disdain at the corner of his mouth was undisguised. Trash is trash. Even if you fight back before you die, it's trash. The Void Insect King's expression suddenly condensed. Go to hell. A purple black void energy dozens of meters in size fell towards the white wall below. The so-called attack of Bazan has been swallowed up by the void energy. Seeing this scene, Bazan has completely given up. Looking up at the sky, the energy group that was enough to destroy Zhanghe City was about to explode in the air. The long sword in Bazan's hand still did not loosen. When the purple black energy group erupted, a stunned look flashed in Bazan's eyes. I saw the sound of a gust of wind whistling from behind, flying towards the energy group. It's the sword breaking the sky. A good move. The voice of Bei Junjian sounded behind Bazan, and like Bazan, a sword energy flew towards the Void Insect King. Of course, the Void Insect King recognized Bei Junjian, and he used a move to kill the Titan Crazy Ball that day, and he was also there. With a slight swing of his figure, he avoided Bei Junjian's attack directly, and looked at the people who appeared on the field without saying a word. Well, without Ye Chen. Then I'm relieved. The sword that Bei Junjian threw out at random was much stronger than Bazan's all-out strike. Good job, we'll be here next. Bei Junjian reached out and patted Bazan's shoulder. Over the years, Bazan's series of deeds, he also knows clearly, but chooses not to interfere in each other's life. Bazan is in a dazed state at the moment, and now there is a saying in his mind that death is worth it. Give that guy to me. Can you solve this strange energy? Bei Junjian said to the three behind him. It looks a bit difficult, but it shouldn't be a big problem. Ji Kai and Meng frowned slightly as she looked at the group of things. How About I freeze it first, and then use the space ability to move it away. Zhang Bingking also expressed his opinion. It shouldn't be a problem. It's just a 100-meter space door. It's not a problem for me. Ji Qianmeng patted her chest and said, then, you go. I'll go see how dad is doing. Zhang Zilei saw that the two people had a clear division of labor, and he didn't need his own help. So he left directly. And Bei Junjian is still pretending to be coercive with his son. You're right here. See how you kill this worm for your father. Between the words, without waiting for Beizhen to speak, Bei Junjian's figure instantly appeared in the sky. Holding a sword in one hand and holding the other behind his back. Tell me, how do you want to die? The Void Insect King was speechless and even wanted to slap the other party. If you don't pretend, you will die, right? This time, it was Bei Junjian's turn to be speechless, and he didn't even pretend to be coercive these days. Since you don't want to say it, then I'll help you choose. Bei Junjian waved the long sword in his hand, and the breath on his body restrained. The temperament of a modest gentleman disappeared instantly, and a violent energy swept over him. Beside Bei Junjian, wisps of black energy emerged. Huh? Was this the state when the Titan Crazy Bull was killed? The Void Insect King narrowed his eyes slightly. This time, when I felt this huge breath at close range, the Void Insect King realized that the death of that guy was really not wrong. The black key surrounding Bei Junjian was full of destructive aura, extremely violent, and even had a certain inhibition and recovery effect. The Titan Crazy Bull is a meat shield. How could it be an opponent of this power? When the Titan Mad Bull died that day, were you there? Bei Junjian's tone changed instantly, no longer so gentle and pleasant, but surging with killing intent. I can't tell. Yi Ziozi called him the strongest saint. You will also be afraid of death. In one sentence, the Void Insect King was speechless. Yes, he was there that day, but how do you say it? Just say that, because I was scared of being beaten by that guy named Yi. So hide in the void and dare not come out. HMPH. You'd better think about how to survive from my hands. The Void Insect King said with a gloomy face. For him, if Ye Chen is not here, then he is not afraid of anything. Yi Ziozi said you are very strong. Then let's fight at high altitude? Bei Junjian narrowed his eyes and said to the other party. Of course, the Void Insect King knew that Bei Junjian wanted to leave him here so that the other saints could solve the energy ball. But this is not a big problem for the Void Insect King. If you can kill 2 human beings in the Holy Land, then the soul is enough. Killing people doesn't seem so important anymore. Change places? Why don't you? The Void Worm Dynasty waved at Bei Junjian, and a round door appeared in front of Bei Junjian. Can you dare to step in? The Void Insect King was full of jokes. He knew that Ye Chen would definitely tell everyone about his abilities, as long as the other party knows his abilities. He is a normal person. Holy crap. He went in. Bei Junjian stepped into the void portal without saying a word. The Void Insect King has begun to suspect insects. Is he not normal? Or, I'm not normal, but soon he polished off the thoughts in his mind. Since the other party dared to enter, then what is there to say? The next second, the body of the Void Insect King appeared in the void. In this void, here's the existence that dominates the rules. You are the first person who dares to take the initiative to step into my void space. Among so many humans I have ever met, I have to say, you gave me a great first impression. Submit to me. I will spare you not to die. How? In the peculiar void, it was pitch black. Bei Junjian looked in the direction of the sound, but could not see any figures. I don't think so. How about changing it? You surrender to me. How about I spare you not to die? Chapter 223. He walked peacefully. Vulcan died in the hands of fire. Hey, Vulcan, you can't die, can you? Ye Chen was lying on the chair looking at the dying Vulcan, and said playfully. Although Vulcan used all his strength, he could easily dodge the attack at first, and even fight back. But the long-term ultra-high-speed movement and evasion of attacks also caused his physical strength to drop sharply. After eating a few thousand slaps from several thousand hands, it was considered to have stopped. Although he was dying, Vulcan was still able to speak. You are very strong. Among the people I have met, although you are not the strongest, you must have the highest potential. Vulcan, lay on the ground, his limbs spread out, forming a huge stasi. Ye Chen saw that the other party no longer had the ability to fight back, so he put away the big Buddha and walked slowly to the other party. It seems that my strength has been recognized by you. Haha, agree. Don't make trouble. Do you still have trump cards? Vulcan helplessly smiled. The bitterness in the corner of his mouth had nowhere to hide. Ye Chen nodded and didn't speak. Kill me. This is what I deserve. Vulcan spoke again. This time he no longer smiled helplessly. Rather, it resembles a smile that is about to be relieved, even a little happy. Ye Chen was stunned. Aren't you going to tell your story? A sinner's story. What's there to tell? Vulcan also froze for a moment. It can't be said that good people have stories of good people and bad people have stories of bad people. Sinners have their own stories. After Ye Chen finished speaking, he sat down beside Vulcan. Take out 2 bottles of liquor from the system space. Underage can't drink. Ye Chen, I'm an adult. No, have a drink. I'll listen to you, if you don't mind. Ye Chen handed a bottle of liquor to Vulcan and nodded slightly. Vulcan looked at Ye Chen's series of actions, and it was like refreshing his 3 views. First fight, then drink, chat for a while, and then kill me later. This guy is a bit weird. I originally lived in an ordinary world, but that world suddenly changed. The world changed greatly, and countless human beings became possessed of various abilities. Omit N-words from now on. Ye Chen didn't interrupt Vulcan's remarks and got a general understanding of the situation. That is to say, the way of heaven told Vulcan not to break through the realm of the gods, but this guy doesn't listen. Hey, I'm broken. Then the heavens descended upon a bunch of gods, quack, and slaughter in his world. Ye Chen has nothing to say. In such a weak realm, you are too embarrassed to break through. You are lucky to survive. No wonder you call yourself a sinner. Thank you. Before I die, I can still have a good fight and have someone listen to me. A warm current passed through Vulcan's heart, and his heart died when his mother star died. What about God? Not the same or a bigger ant? Ye Chen didn't speak. His face was a little dignified. Because what this guy said is exactly what Blue Star is going through. Hey, I still have to break my promise. I promised to kill you with wood style. Forget it now. I'll give you a treat. Ye Chen struggled for a while and said solemnly. Hearing the words, Vulcan didn't think much, smiled slightly. Thank you. Ye Chen had no extra words and pulled out Raijin Jaka with one hand. Bankei. Remnant fire sword. When Ye Chen's voice fell, a flame poured out of his body and then poured into the long knife. The surrounding temperature rose instantly and Vulcan was stunned. Good guy. No wonder when he used his ultimate move just now, the high temperature of hundreds of thousands of degrees around him would be useless to this guy. Feeling the temperature from the knife, Vulcan couldn't help but smile bitterly. This wave. Playing with fire in front of this wave called Ye Chen, asking for no fun. Ye Chen pointed the knife at Vulcan and said indifferently, soon. Just a moment, you can go in peace. Vulcan was completely silent, allowing the long knife to pierce his chest. A fiery burning sensation came to my heart, and this strange feeling was the first time Vulcan encountered a god of fire, killed by fire. Kill God realm Vulcan. Points plus 1.8 billion. Well, in this way, it's only 1.7 billion. At that time, the wood style of the tens of billions should have enough power to protect the entire Blue Star. After all, it's written in the enhanced introduction. With the addition of the yin-yang shield, the world becomes a, what is this concept? Bei Junjian. The name of the sword saint has wronged you. If there is an immortal in the world, you should be the first sword immortal. The Void Insect King said while emitting void energy. In this space, each energy will be slowly converted into void energy, thus becoming the property of the Void Insect King. That is to say, in this space, he not only has many kinds of methods, but also infinite blue, and although Bei Junjian is in this void, his vision is damaged. But depending on the sound of the breaking wind and the direction of the breath, it's still easy to be beaten. Can't escape at all. But is this the problem? What state are we in now? That is the state of the nuclear explosion sword intent surrounding itself. It is because the series of moves of the Void Insect King just now couldn't break the defense of Bei Junjian. so I couldn't help but boast, "You know how strong I am. It shows that your vision is good. This sword saint will be invincible in this world in the future, so you might as well go to me directly. I will definitely ask Ye Chen to spare your life." Bei Junjian jokingly responded, "He give you some color and you will open a dye shop." The Void Insect King saw Bei Junjian being so shameless and couldn't help but sneer. "Do you really think I can't do anything about you?" At this moment, Bei Junjian is very excited. "I'm coming." He's going to use that suffocating move. I saw an oxygen bottle instantly appear in Bei Junjian's left hand. This is a big killer against him, pulling out the air. Even Bei Junjian's small hands are still a little trembling. After all, this kind of thing is very exciting to think about. How does Ye Chen describe that feeling? The air in the lungs is forcibly sucked out. If the oxygen cylinder is useless at that time, you have to use the aura to forcibly seal the mouth and nose. Fs. Today is a good day. We won't say what a good day is in order to express my happy mood today. I even spent a lot of money on a table point, although the money for the meal is my own. But happiness is also Minek now everything. Also, it's been a month since I asked for a gift. If you can, please use your little hands on this happy day. Make me feel more happy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224. The Void Insect King never dreamed that someone would fight with him to experience the feeling of the air in his lungs being drawn out of the lungs. That Ye Chen said, "If the Void Insect King knows, I'm afraid I can't help but scold him." MDZZ. I have never seen such a masochistic person in my life. Bei Junjian also noticed that the other party looked at him with a look of caring for mentally handicapped children and was angry at that time. "What kind of eyes do you have?" The Void Insect King simply adjusted his mentality. "Aren't you asking this knowingly? In other words, if Ye Chen doesn't come, you might all die here." Bei Junjian has not yet returned, and the words of the Void Insect King came again. At that moment, Bei Junjian smiled. Clenching the gentleman's sword in his hand, the black sword intent on the sword was already ready to move. "I have a sword that has been echoing in my head for decades. Today, let me use the void. I don't know if you can block my sword." The smile on Bei Junjian's face bloomed like a daisy. "You can try. In this space, I'm invincible." The Void Insect King said disdainfully, and silently said in his heart, "As long as you don't do things like Ye Chen, a big Buddha almost burst me into the void, so it's totally fine." Then, prepare yourself mentally. I only have one strike. Bei Junjian's words were light, and the anger of the Void Insect King also rose slightly. In his opinion, the move Bei Junjian used to collapse the sky was nothing more than that. How strong can it be? I saw Bei Junjian let go of his right hand holding Junzijian, and his palm turned into fingers with a slight stroke in the air. The gentleman's sword flew into the distance. Sent the sword away. Is that another move? No. This move is stronger. Bei Junjian's rare two-handed sword movement gestured in front of him, and the gentleman's sword, which was flying into the distance, suddenly stopped. Behind Bei Junjian, Junzijian turned into countless phantoms. "You call this only one sword?" The Void Insect King looked at the shadow of the sword behind Bei Junjian, a little silent. At that moment, the Void Insect King suspected that the insects were born. Although we don't know much about the knowledge of the human race, but one sword and many swords, we still understand each other. Bei Junjian did not speak, but waved his little hand again. Countless phantom gentleman swords were assembled together in the air. And it was another oversized gentleman sword. "This is not a sword. What is this?" Bei Junjian said playfully. "Originally, this move should be 1,000 swords flying, turning into a sword, which can open the gate of heaven, but I regret it now. He has a better name for this sword." Bei Junjian is also unambiguous. Since the sword move has been completed, can't the sword be released? How to eat? Go. With the order of Bei Junjian, the wind whistled in the entire void space. The momentum is good. The Void Insect King saw this scene, and a smile appeared on his face. But That's all. Want to kill me? Delusional. Absolute. Defense. The Void Insect King pointed out with a finger, and a thought was born. The entire void surged wildly in an instant, and countless energies turned into a transparent defensive barrier in front of the Void Insect King. In this space, I am a god, Bei Junjian. If I call you a sword saint, that means I look up to you. Do you really think you can slaughter gods? The Void Insect King roared. Bei Junjian didn't respond. He put his hands behind him and looked directly at the 10,000-meter long sword above his head. If there really is a god in this world, then I want to see if God is really immortal. When the tip of the 10,000-meter long sword touched the invisible barrier of the Void Insect King, the entire long sword disintegrated instantly, turned into countless fragments, and floated in the air. Bei Junjian gently stretched out his hand and touched the flying fragments. This scene made the Void Insect King stunned, but he quickly reacted. You want to kill me with your sword that shatters at a touch? Are you crazy? Or am I crazy? The Void Insect King asked 3 questions in a row, his tone full of ridicule. Bei Junjian said calmly, it's almost time. With the sound of a sword chirping, the gentleman's sword came with the wind. Bump. The tip of the sword penetrated the invisible barrier of the Void Insect King. Boom. In an instant, a terrifying aura erupted from the gentleman's sword. How is this possible? The Void Insect King was stunned. What does absolute defense mean? It is in this space that this defense is absolutely invincible, and now it was pierced by a sword. What's impossible? Bei Jun said without raising his sword, and threw the fragments from his hand. The sword breaks the sky. As Bei Junjian read out the name of the sword move, his voice was sonorous and powerful, piercing through the void. Boom. The aura of Jun Zijian's sword again. The invisible barrier was penetrated instantly. Impossible. The Void Insect King panicked and swung his arm towards Jun Zijian. Get out of the void for me. But no matter how the Void Insect King expels Jun Zijian was not kicked out of the void space. Impossible. The Void Insect King's eyes widened, and 2 impossibles instantly refreshed his understanding of the sword. I saw the figure of the Void Insect King disappeared instantly and merged into the void. Hide? You can hide. Can your void hide? Bei Junjian sneered. Ye Chen had analyzed it before, and the void space possessed by the Void Insect King must be very important to him. Otherwise, when Ye Chen used the Big Buddha, he couldn't rush to expel the Big Buddha from the space. Do you think my void is so easily broken? The voice of the Void Insect King resounded throughout the space. Bei Junjian put his fingers together, and the huge Jun Zijian stabbed towards the void that seemed to have no end in sight. Boom. An explosion sounded. Everyone looked towards the sky, and a long sword burst out of the sky. Go west with a sword. The sky was swept away by the clouds of sword energy, and where the long sword flew out, the black void intersected with the sky. A figure walked out of the void, and countless figures in Zhanghai City looked up. I saw the figure speak softly. This sword was originally named after me. It should be called Giant Wuan or something, but unfortunately, my son gave me a name, Void Insect King. What do you think about my sword breaking the sky? Is it enough to kill you with one sword? Bei Junjian turned around with a smile and said to the embarrassed figure in the void. At this moment, the Void Insect King has not recovered from the shock just now. That tiny sword, that feeble sword, that sword like an ant. Why pierce the void with a sword? The Void Insect King opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but he couldn't put a cruel word out of his mouth. If you lose, you lose. If there is an immortal in the world, the name of the sword Immortal, you deserve it, and fight again in the future. Chapter 225 Void Emperor, Yuan Zhu. The Void Insect King who left a sentence repaired the void at an extremely fast speed and disappeared without a trace in an instant. And the gentleman's sword also returned to the hands of Bei Junjian with the sound of breaking the wind. Ji Qian Meng and others also dealt with the huge void energy and directly transferred it into the sea with the space ability. Bei Junjian looked helpless as he looked at the figure of the Void Insect King leaving. Before leaving, this guy said that he was a sword immortal in such a loud voice, just to make everyone think that his defeat was not because of weakness, but because my Bei Junjian is too strong. I have to say, this little thought, it's hard to handle. And when Beizhen saw his father, whom he hadn't seen for many years. He was already stupid, still staying in place now, looking at Baijunjian motionless even when Baijunjian fell by his side. He was still in a daze. It's time to recover. Baijunjian gently patted Baizan's arm point only then did Baizan come back to his senses, looking at Baijunjian's kind face, and opened his mouth. Father, Zan has naturally seen Baijunjian. After all, he also did a paternity test later. It's just Baijunjian. That Sundeer level is full. Well, it's alright. I just performed well. Junjian smiled slightly, said a few words to Baizan, turned around and left. Point suddenly stopped. Next time, help me think of 2 sword names. I'll take the name to waste. The originally silent Baizan was suddenly stunned, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Okay, father, damn. Baijunjian, what kind of swordsmanship is this? It doesn't seem to have any lethality. The Void Insect King hides in the void, taking care of himself. Point the void was broken, and the impact on him was not small. It can be said that it was the first time that the injury was so serious. When the Void Insect King found Zuodasi again, Zuodasi was eating meat and drinking heavily at the moment. Huh? Are you back? How's the matter? Zuoda said without raising his head. Point it seems that he recognizes the strength of the Void Insect King very much, and he seems to have no doubts about him. The Void Insect King was a little silent. How to use the soul bottle? This sentence was directly asked Zuodaxi stupidly. You take it out and put it next to the soul, and he will absorb it himself. What I'm asking is how to use it after it's full. Void Insect King was speechless. This Lord Beast God just told me that it was full, but didn't tell me how to use it. Oh, then, I understand. The Void Insect King responded without any movement. Hey, what's the matter? Is the soul collection full? Zuo Dashi stepped forward and grabbed the Void Insect King. Point the Void Insect King showed a weird smile. It will be full soon. Then, he opened a void wormhole, stepped in, and looked back at Zuodashi. Aren't you together? Zuodashi always felt a little shiver when looking at the Void Insect King smile. Point, but I didn't think much about it. I stepped in. Point after a while, the Void Insect King walked out of the void alone. The soul is finally full, and at this moment, Ye Chen, after killing Vulcan, immediately came to the 4th floor, facing the stone god whose body was like a behemoth. Ye Chen solved it by dividing 2 by 3. Point after all, this guy has a big body and is slow to move. This is simply Ye Chen's favorite enemy. Looking at the 10.3 billion points, he nodded with satisfaction. System, send me out of the space. I've earned enough points. Come back next time. Can't you be a little more self-reliant? The owner of this small tower is you. Can't you just say you want to leave? Everyone is me. So why can you play me in this space? Sorry, I refuse to answer this question. Ye Chen's face darkened. It really belongs to you. Point I muttered in my heart. I want to leave. Blue star at the moment. Point the Void Insect King who hid the soul bottle in the void went all the way in the direction of Jinkilin. Point after Jinkilin saw the Void Insect King, this time was more natural. Point because the Void Insect King said that he would not kill him, then there is no need to be afraid because this guy said nothing. You're here again. Where's the human? The Void Insect King was stunned by the question. Point this wave is called selective silence. Point I can't tell him that he was killed by me. His wife has a baby, so he's not free. PFFT. Cough. Cough cough. Jinkilin was stunned. You're right. It doesn't matter. I'm here to tell you something. The Void Insect King was embarrassed to death and quickly changed the subject. His tone was a little more serious seeing the Void Insect King like this. Jinkilin also became serious. This world is not quite what you and I imagined. The Void Insect King roughly told Jinkilin what he knew. So, I plan to wait for the Beast God to come to Blue Star, and after the Blue Star barrier disappears, I will escape to the void alone. Jinkilin's mind went blank at that time. How many days has it been? Suddenly a person jumped out and said to me, stupid, in fact, the world is like this, Beast God. You know, when we asked us to do things, we were kind to each other, but we handed over the collection of souls to the Beast God cult. That is to say, in his plan, our alien beasts should be dead. You choose For the sake of our many years, I can take your family away from Blue Star. Jin Killin was silent and turned to look at the lava behind him. A head protruded from the magma, and at first glance, it was the same species as Jin Killin, except that the blood was not as strong as Jin Killin, and its body was more like a dog. The child's father. I think Lord Bug King is right. We are alien beasts, but we are also Blue Star's alien beasts, beast gods. No matter what, we won't be thinking about the life and death of us ants. Jin Killin hesitated. But, don't be rude. Think about your wife, and think about your son. I'm a lonely man. If I didn't want to give you a hand, I should be on the way to escape from Blue Star at this moment. As soon as these words came out, Jin Killin took a deep breath, as if he had figured it out. Then, what are your plans? Where is the first stop? The Void Insect King smiled, snapped his fingers, and the void opened. Can you still not understand me? I will never do anything unprepared, not to mention that I can move at any time in my void. The first step in stepping into the Great Thousand World, we need to have our own name, not the Worm King, and the Worm King, call me Void Emperor, Yuanzu in the future. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.